Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Acadia on Air. We got a great friend with us today. We got Andrew from Luso Design. Andrew specializes in doors.
Custom doors, yes.
Custom doors. So it's going to be an interesting episode. To be fair, just to put it out there, I am familiar a little bit with doors because back in the day, I used to install windows and doors. So I'm one of those who started with windows and door installation. So it's very nice having you on our show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here. Speaking about doors, I think in order to understand better what is that you're doing, tell me a little bit about your company, what you're representing, what the scope of work of the company, and we'll go from there.
So we mainly specialize in complete door system replacement. This is when you are doing the entirety of the door within the brick opening. We mainly specialize in doors. We do windows a little bit. We do some of the adjacent things like screens, hardware, things of that nature, but really more as part of a door project. We deal with a variety of different types of doors, steel, fiberglass, vinyl, aluminum, and we're able to essentially customize both the type of the door and then all of the options within the door itself to meet whatever client's expectations are, because there's just thousands of different options. And basically the idea is to figure out what the client wants, what kind of door is going to be perfect for them, figure out all the options are going to fall together nicely, and then build it and install it properly. And that's basically what we do.
Gotcha. And so back in the day when I used to actually handle and deal with it, there were two styles of doors. Mm-hmm. There was a wood door and there was a steel door. Fiberglass was something brand new that just came into the market. I remember when people talked about fiberglass, it used to bend from the elements. Mm-hmm. The heating and the cooling inside and outside of the house used to bend the door. People had issues with it. Technology moved on since. Technology is so much better since. Tell me a little bit, because I heard a few things. I heard aluminum door, which right away kind of I'm jumping into commercial. Or is it commercial or not? Explain a little bit about that. And the vinyl doors. Mm-hmm. What happened with them during those last, I would say, 20 years that I'm not handling it? Mm-hmm. Did it get actually better?
So the two main types of doors that are going to account probably for, 95% of new construction is going to be steel and fiberglass. Steel doors came out first. It essentially was a more cost-efficient, more energy-efficient alternative to a solid wood door. Mm-hmm. Because with steel doors, you've got structural frame on a perimeter, you got mainly spray foam in a center, you got two sheets of steel front and back for the surface. And so it's much cheaper to produce than like proper wood doors, solid wood doors. It's more energy efficient because you mostly have the foam there, right? And it's, R16.
Is it a better insulator than wood?
Than solid wood? 100%. Yeah, you've got R16 level spray foam versus wood is R6, R9, somewhere there for like a 1 3/4 door.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's quite a lot more energy.
How do you achieve R16 in a 1 1/4? Is it 1 1/4 this time?
1 3/4. 1 3/4 for standard thickness. You can get them in 2 1/4, but that's a rare kind of like a special order kind of thing. Excessive, and also there's only a couple of suppliers that carry this type of product. It has to be specially made. All of the components like door jambs and everything else has to be switched up because of it. So it is very, very rare. I'll do maybe like 1 a year. Majority of the time, 99%, it's 1 3/4.
And if I'm a client, why would I want 2 1/4? What would be the reasons for it?
Slightly better energy efficiency and kind of like a beefier look to the door. So that would be mostly wood grain textured fiberglass door. You imitate a wood door, and so wood doors kind of shifted towards a niche, very high end portion of the market, right? Like when you got your multi-million-dollar house, you got 3 Bentleys in the garage, you're going to have a nice like $50,000 wood door system. It's going to be 12 feet tall. It's going to have some amazing elements. There's a lot of stuff that you can still only do as wood, because you can dial in all of the components and designs and stuff like that too. And those are typically 2.25 or 2.5 inches thick. So a couple of projects that I had when client requested specifically and was willing to pay the extra for the 2.25 inch door was one of them. It was essentially like a passive house level energy efficiency build, where they were just trying to maximize the energy efficiency of the door, but they wanted to use a locally made product. And the other one was where it was specifically a replica of a wood door, and they wanted specifically 2.25 inch thick door panel to just try to come close to the look of a wood door as much as possible.
Is it heavier?
It is.
It feels good, no?
You mean like 2.25 versus 1 3/4?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. More material.
A heavy door feels better, no?
It does. It feels more. Yeah, it does feel more
solid.
More solid and like more.
It's like a car door. When it's heavy, you can just tell.
Yeah. But back to the original question: why would how do you how do you put R16 in a 1 3/4 inch?
It's high density spray foam.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder too.
I could swear that it's that it's R16 because that goes for like the old.
Yeah, you're right. Because actually, 3 inches would be pretty much R22, 3.5.
Because if you do closed cell, like it's an equivalent of the stuff that you use for a basement, not the stuff that comes out of the can, like the yeah. So that'll be the.
What is maximum? What's the highest level? Highest R value?
Well, it depends how much you're gonna.
Oh, it just continues. You can do R1000.
If you do 3.5 inches, you're gonna achieve R22.
There's gonna be.
If you do 8 inches, you're gonna achieve R38.
Yeah, but then like the material itself has different R value per.
Yeah, I guess that's
cubic inch or.
How dense does it get? The foam. I guess that's kind of what I mean, right? Is there like max? What is the maximum density?
So there isn't really a level of customization within that. Mm-hmm. Everyone seems to be using pretty much the same, or at least a certain level quality manufacturers would use the same type of spray foam. And I think it just became an industry standard at some point. It's been like that for a while. One thing that you're going to see every once in a while, and I don't really deal with that, but I come from a custom glass insert background. Like before I started dealing with doors,
are you talking about stained glass?
I was one of those guys who drive around. They cut the doors and you put the glass in. And stuff like
I know,
that.
house to house.
Yeah, custom wrought iron and decorative glass and stuff like that too.
So you guys killed the industry with that. You guys killed
for what?
Industry. So no, jokes. I don't.
No. But in which way?
I remember back then. Custom glass used to be very, very expensive, wrought iron. So all of a sudden, we started seeing people that would drive around and sell wrought iron inserts for like $200, $300, $400 back then. I'm talking pre-COVID money.
Yeah.
Well, in my case, it was like almost 20 years ago. And all of a sudden, from having an iron glass insert that cost $2,500, $3,000, it went to like $400 or $500.
How did that happen?
So I was one of those guys who was doing the expensive ones.
I see.
And that was the reason.
They started bringing those from China.
Yeah, and the reason why I started doing entire door systems, because I started 2009, I started doing glass inserts with custom wrought iron. We'd make everything from scratch. I'd say like a retail on a full glass would be maybe about $800-900, give or take. You can customize glass. You can like I'll draw all the metal designs and stuff like that too. We'll CNC, powder coat the metal work, everything. Then the stuff started coming from China, and people would sell it at like half.
Yeah,
like you'd be looking at like $450 to $500 per insert. And it essentially was just like a race to the bottom at that point because it became a commodity. It became something that like there were 2 or 3 companies that were bringing it from China. You can just go there, you can just pick it up. And so there were guys that would just like their markup was next
Yeah,
to
I know.
nothing. I don't even know how they were. Well, they weren't. Most of them went out of business probably. But
Eventually, yeah.
that was something. Doing custom became just impossible because you're twice as expensive. And this is we've even like trying to at least a little bit justify the time and effort that goes into making them from scratch. You're dealing with metal fabrication, with metal finishing, with glass tempering, all of that. You're dealing with like 5 companies to make one insert.
Yeah.
And there's additional time and effort that goes into that before you even go and install it. And you're competing against the guys who are just gonna go pick it up. They're gonna like go knock on some doors. And
I remember those trucks. They drove by and they had like 100 different inserts and just go and pick one.
yeah, the way to win in that game was to pick up your own supplier in China, bring them in directly, buy a full container, and just like grow your volume to the point where you can just outrun everyone else. And by bringing it directly, you obviously have a slightly better profit margin.
Is it
and
worth it at the end of the day?
I know one company that's been doing it for like 20 plus years. They were like my biggest competitor back when I was doing glass. And we like pretty friendly because they were like one of those people that are actually like their work ethic is there and stuff like that, right? They wouldn't lie to people. They would actually tell you, yeah, we're bringing our product in from China, but it is, quality control there and stuff like that. And that's how we were able to afford to give you this price. It was one of those things. Like I'm out of that market completely by now. I don't touch this.
It's fun.
But this was the main reason why 2011 is when I started doing full door systems, because I was like, I cannot, because I'm much more, I think it's just a personality type. I'm attention to detail, diving deep into things. And for me, it was impossible to make money in that market, and I didn't want to do volume. I didn't want to do Chinese-made inserts and just like do as many as possible. You wanted to
excel in something specific.
I wanted to do something interesting.
So let's talk a little bit about your doors. So you're Canadian made, which is, first of all, that's already a plus, huge plus. Tell me, I do have a lot of friends because we're building houses and we buy doors all the time. For custom homes. I have a lot of friends who bring doors from overseas, or from Europe, Poland, Germany, and I think even Ukraine and that kind of places. My question for you is, what is the difference between this Canadian made and expand on it? Time-wise, service calls-wise, we discussed off camera, which I definitely agree, that's very important, and the quality. Is there a difference between quality or not really?
It's a different product because when we talk about doors that are brought in from overseas, those are typically full European aluminum systems. And if you're talking about the not the commercial but residential aluminum doors, they're a different animal. You're looking at 2.5, 3, 4-inch thick door panels. The way they're made is they're essentially aluminum profiles filled with insulating material with a super thick aluminum skin. Aluminum is a structural component. The profile of the door itself is aluminum, and then the frame is also an aluminum extrusion. Usually, multi-point locks of various different kinds. There are certain limitations in terms of aesthetics, because I think the way steel and fiberglass evolved in North America is that they would replicate the styles of wood doors, whereas with aluminum systems, they're usually, a lot of times they're flat with like a more contemporary look to them.
I think it's not as timeless as...
it's a different trend. And
trends are here to pass.
And so, in essence, those aluminum systems are oftentimes like they're more energy efficient than what we've got. Like they're built to a different standard compared to North American stuff. But between the logistics to the quality control to the cost, it's still something that I cannot justify working with this when it's when it's brought in from overseas. It'd be pretty nice. Like I'm waiting for one of the local manufacturers to start essentially fabricating this product in Canada, only because if we have an issue, if there is a missing part, if something's built to the wrong size by accident, if there's any kind of issue, when you have something that takes 2 to 3 months on a container to come here overseas, I just cannot afford those kind of delays. If you're doing a custom built project where a custom house and it takes you 6 to 9 months to build it,
I had that
then you can afford that time frame, and hopefully you can also like modify, like your door came in wrong size, you brought in the framers, and hopefully we're able to modify your RSO, your stud opening and stuff like that. I'm more on a retrofit side of things, and most of my clients wouldn't want to wait for 6 months.
I had a situation, funny enough, when I was building a home and we ordered a door from overseas, and that's exactly what happened to me. I was supposed to give the keys and the door is still not there. It's like a month away from our date. And I was panicking because what happened was we had, imagine a huge like temporary wall with freaking
substantial completion. You can get the
with a standard Home Depot door and like waiting and I'm trying to explain to the client that your build is done. We just need to install the door, and they're like, Max, that's not done. Anyways, it was a show.
Are doors usually in the end of a project?
Yeah, well, the fancy custom door comes in at the end. Yes.
Yes, you don't want any foot traffic. You don't want construction foot traffic going through.
Oh, so they don't damage it?
Exactly.
Yes. I would always tell about 85% of my projects are directly to homeowners, retrofits, and about 15% are general contractors and custom homes builders. And this is always a conversation. I'm like, if it's a front door, push it all the way to the back of the build. Like, make sure no one walks through it. You can protect it. They're still going to scratch it. Don't take that risk. We will come in. We will finish everything. We will do the exterior caulking, exterior trim. We will do everything. We will do interior casing. You don't have to bring any of the trades back. You don't have to worry about like shifting someone else's scope of work to accommodate us.
No, I usually
we'll do everything,
stage.
Push us all the way back. Yes, when you're literally past the paint, when you have your cleaners in and touch-ups, that's when you install it, and it's perfect, because we've even been in a situation where someone put in the door too early. They taped ram board over it to protect it. One, it didn't help. It still got scratched. 2, they used the wrong masking tape and they left it there for 3 months. So it started coming off.
It got stuck to the door.
Yeah, it started coming off with pieces of finish because it was stained finish, which is you're not really
and
supposed to.
That's fiberglass, yes.
Yep. Oof. And so it's much easier. And because I am more set up for retrofit, so we'll come in and we'll finish every aspect of the door installation, everything adjacent to it as well. So like caulking, trim, all that kind of stuff. We are able to essentially separate ourselves from the rest of the scope. So for the builders, they don't have to worry about bringing anyone back or any like additional cost incurred or anything like this, because we will finish everything, except like the masonry and stuff.
Amazing.
Like that.
And what's trending right now? What kind of doors? Because I know everything. I'll tell you, in buildings, in houses, minimalism is starting to pass, and black and white is kind of getting a little bit out of the door. It's becoming a little bit more colorful now.
I love hearing that.
And it's actually true. So you started seeing it by seeing navy blue kitchens, by seeing sometimes even green.
More complex.
Yeah, more complex. So what's the trends with the doors? Like it used to be black steel or black fiberglass, or like what's trending now?
At least on like in my niche, because clients that are coming to me may not be the same clients who are going to come to someone else. There's still a lot of contemporary style fiberglass doors. So we'll do like a wood door replica in fiberglass with some geometric designed with like a pull bar handle, multi-point lock, black glass, is a big trend. One of the newer trend is those vertical kind of like mullions, like pieces. You'll see it's like a vertical grid
Like
of
this?
moldings. Yeah, exactly, something like that, but on a door.
Oh, I think I know
Yeah,
what you mean.
so that's used oftentimes as an architectural detail for walls, and,
Yeah.
and so a lot of people are incorporating it into doors, which used to be only something that you could do with wood doors. But fiberglass is always chasing wood door industry with styles. We are usually 2 years behind, give or take. So whatever trend you're seeing in wood doors, whatever is like, latest and greatest in wood, is probably gonna come down to
Oh.
fiberglass. Like, we'll figure out a way to make it, because there's a lot of stuff that you physically just cannot do
Yeah.
in fiberglass, because with wood you have so much more flexibility. But so now we are kind of like at a point where we can do this, and that's where a lot of the projects are. And then I've got a little bit more transitional style. So it's kind of like, your traditional 2-panel, but a little bit cleaner, with the external moldings on the glass, like the SDL bars, maybe a shaker panel on the door instead of like your typical beveled panel and stuff like this too. But modern doors, like these ultra modern doors, are still a very big trend. At least, as I said, for me, it's like 85% are retrofits rather than new builds. I think with a new build, you're kind of like a little bit more at the forefront of all of the trends. So you might be a little bit ahead. So I'll keep an eye on, like, I'll make sure that we like carry custom, which we do custom colors and stuff like that too.
It changes a bit. I find that in the past, I would say 5-6 months, things are starting to change. But another thing that I wanted to ask you, being in windows and doors industry many, many years ago, it was so simple, right? Doors specifically, you had doors, and correct me if I'm wrong, you had doors with frames 4 5/8, 6 5/8, single slab, simple hinges, nothing. Now I'm talking to friends of mine about it. Usually I don't make those decisions. They are being made for me on behalf of the companies. But I see you guys are swimming in options now. It's crazy. You're swimming in options. Hardware, locks, 3-point lock, 5-point lock, 7-point. I'm just kidding. A lot of different locks and different thresholds and different materials. And how do you keep up with this trend? And who is actually setting the trend? Where is it coming from?
It comes from whatever market demands, probably. Whatever people are looking for. In terms of materials, the evolution has been mostly to use something that doesn't require maintenance on the structural side. And on the aesthetic side, we've got, whatever different trends we've got with, the fashion of construction. So replicating wood doors with fiberglass and stuff like that. In terms of structural components and stuff like this, we've got a variety of different options, right? Because we have to accommodate all kinds of different, be that existing homes with a certain wall depth and a certain construction, to maybe a new build where they want a minimalist, no brick mold, like as clean as possible kind of a look, to maybe the opposite of having like a double brick mold to imitate some kind of complex exterior trim look that runs somewhere else.
Or like something I've seen lately on one of actually YouTube shows, one of those construction shows. Those guys were given a door by a US manufacturer, by the way. It was very interesting. It had this leaps, what do you call those, for nailers on a door.
Like a nailing fin?
Yeah, on a door. That was the first time that I've seen that. The guys...
What is that?
So a regular door.
Yeah.
Usually windows for new construction would have a nailing thing. Pretty much just to nail it quickly.
You set them onto the wall, you go boom, boom, boom with the frame.
And you're done.
And you're kind of done.
But this time, I saw it for the first time on a door.
Oh.
And it worked, and they were so happy. They were given a door with a nailing fins. And anyways, I was amazed. It was... you know what? If you wanna look at it,
Yeah. So
go. I'll plug them
You
in.
look concerned.
yes. You know why? So doors, unlike Windows, and that's the reason why I mainly do doors, and I don't really get into Windows as much as I'm too OCD about details.
Yeah.
And the reason, part of it comes from knowing how precise you have to be with door installations.
Exactly.
So you've got your frame, door jamb, and the door itself. They have to be perfectly plumb and square.
Yeah.
And people don't realize how much flex there is to the whole system because you carefully align the door jamb and the door itself to be perfectly parallel for all of the gaps
So I
to be
used to install
correct
those.
and all of that, right? If your door and your door frame are like that, it's not going to close properly. So with a nailing fin, it works well for Windows.
Oh,
because if
you are
there's
so correct.
Because if there's a discrepancy, if your wall is not perfectly flat,
If your wall is not, yeah.
you can get away with like quarter inch a little bit.
But you can shim behind it as well, behind the fin.
You can, but the whole idea behind the nailing fin
I'll
is
tell
just speed up, and then you tape over,
they
tie it
use a zip tape.
into,
They use a zip tape pretty
tie
much
it
all
into
around.
the water and air control layers and things of that nature.
I'll tell you something. As an architect, and an ex-installer,
For doors, I have concerns because it seems to be something that's supposed to make the installation easier, but it might like backfire but I'll need to do it in a very big way in how the door is going to operate later.
So let me
but
tell
I
you
need
something.
to. I'm
as an
curious about that.
ex-installer, I installed tons of doors in my life, and as an architect now and owning an architectural firm, that's freaking amazing. I'll be honest with you, because I agree with you that the wall has to be plumb because you can always remove those fins as well.
Yeah.
That's the great part. They come in, and the way they make them,
My vinyl doors come with those, or can.
So, but
come
the
with
thing is,
ICs.
they come already pre-assembled, and the threshold below is done. So therefore, the dimensions are not going to change. You got to make sure that they pretty much aligned straight, and then you nail it. You can use shims behind it to make sure that everything works. They install the door. Guys who don't usually install doors, they install these doors in like 20 minutes, which is amazing. And now you got also the adjustable hinges,
Yeah.
which is mind-blowing to me.
Adjustable height.
So the hinge will
like
not
this?
only that it's going to adjust the door, it will also adjust
I
how
see.
plumb it
In
is
and
to the
out.
wall.
Yeah.
It's something that I used to install in commercial and industrial doors. Alumicor, for example, are you familiar with Alumicor?
New, but
Alumicor systems.
No,
They do curtain walls and that kind of system. So I used to see stuff like that 15, 20 years ago in like high cost commercial doors that would go to malls or whatever. Now I see it in residential. It's just amazing. Again, I don't know how much this door cost because probably the cost goes higher up with all that.
If it's a rigid aluminum system, it probably will be less affected by how out of plumb the walls are. Because again, like when I'm talking about like especially
No, it was a regular
the
door.
tilt and turn systems are which is a door, but it's essentially a heavy duty version of a European window system.
Yes.
And these are extremely sensitive to how plumb and square they are because the tolerances are very, very tight. And these kind of doors would come with adjustable hinges and everything because you essentially laser the whole thing off, but then you still have 3/16 of an inch that you can adjust, maybe not even,
Play
maybe
around
just over an eighth, like they did go in millimeters. And that kind of stuff is something that you use to even further like make it perfect. But I'd be curious to see what kind of system it is.
I'll tell you
If
what.
it's rigid enough that you put it on the wall and then you just make sure that if the wall is not straight, you
So
probably shim it or something.
watch a show. It's called StatPack.
Mhm.
It's a U.S. Father and son builders. They build right now the son's house, and I watch it. I watch it for years. I love it. But yeah, watch the show. They have that door, and when I saw it, I was like, "That's and the windows as well." That was such a game changer from what I know, from the regular door. Again, the doors that came in, I remember when I used to buy doors from a manufacturer to install, they were like wood frame metal door, one screw to make sure that it doesn't move, that you have to open. Then it came in with, it was already shimmed, pre-shimmed kind of, so you could install it easier and easier. At this point, pretty much everybody could install that door. It looks like, if your slab is straight, which they actually made sure that when the slab was poured, they made sure that those areas are straight. As an ex-installer, as somebody who knows how to struggle with doors, as somebody who understands, not everybody can install a door. You know that too.
Yes.
So as somebody who knows very well how to install doors, for me, it was such a game changer, because when you install a door, if you move a screw just by a bit, all of a sudden it's stuck to, it doesn't open up and all that. You got to make sure that you know very well what you're doing. But yeah, check it out. It's very interesting.
I'm very skeptical, to be honest.
Yeah, no. Check it out.
It's kind of one of those, I believe it when I see it, because
check it out.
I've also met so many people in the door industry, that installers that were like, oh, it's like 2 seconds to install a door, and boom, boom, boom. And
No. You gotta know what you're doing.
And then you start working with them, and then it's like, this is wrong.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you.
Like, yeah, you say how you're, how it's so easy, but you're not doing half of the stuff that you're not supposed to be doing, and your result is not where it should be.
Exactly.
So
I find that a lot of door installers, back when I used to work, for example, didn't use blueskin, didn't use any vapor barrier, didn't use...
There's no standard.
Didn't use shims because the screws would hold it, but then the door would settle. Holy crap.
There's no standard?
No, there's no inspections for windows and doors. That's why. Windows and doors, people do windows and doors.
That's wild.
And Ontario building code is famously less demanding than the national building code,
So surprising.
or BC, for example. And yeah, people get away with the murder. And it comes like
That's
waterproofing membranes.
Can I put it out there? That's not true.
Really?
As
Not
somebody
anymore?
who deals with codes on
Not anymore?
No. The building code is very demanding. In some situations, too
There's no
demanding.
inspection for
but
specifically windows and doors?
It's not that there's no inspections. There's no inspections for anything that is non-structural or
Right.
part of what inspectors care about. It's the water management around them, not the windows themselves. So there is no standard for the windows and doors themselves. That's the problem. But no, everything is very demanding when it comes to a build of a house.
It may have changed because for me, like, we'll come in, we'll prep the opening, we'll use G-tape or other membrane of some kind to waterproof the opening
So
and
that's
everything
good.
else.
You're a good installer.
I've been doing it for like 15 plus years. This was like how I would always do it. And
how many times you had when you came in to remove a vinyl window, you remove the window and the seal is full of mold?
Yeah.
And like, right?
Yeah, well, this is how it's supposed to be done. But when I started doing the doors, when I've gotten into the actual doors, and what happened is the first 5 years when I started doing doors, that was 2011, 2015, I was trying to essentially build the business in a way that I've seen everyone else build the business, which is have manufacturers, hire installers, and just kind of like do like look after the things. And then I kind of gave up and started doing everything myself after 4 years because I couldn't get the results that I expected from my business. And then I started installing myself. And one of the things too is like there were certain standards that I set in, how the doors have to be aligned, certain, waterproofing standards and things of that nature. And I was installing all of my doors right up until like the very end of 2024 when I realized I have to stop doing everything myself. But there would be like, I'd talk to installers and they don't really know or want to do any kind of waterproofing. They don't want to set up the opening properly. You'll have the door like sitting on top of shims because the opening wasn't plumbed, instead of actually setting up a solid piece of plywood and running waterproofing on it properly and using proper amount of caulking underneath before you set the door in, and like a million other details and things that I consider to be necessary seemed for majority of the people, or at least the people that I interacted with in the industry, not needed. And that was the issue why I started. Like I essentially I went for 11 installation crews in 5 years because I had these things that I wanted to implement, and the people that I had found would just like laugh me off. They're like, no, this is not needed. And then I was like, well, I'm paying you and I'll pay you extra to do those things to make sure that your time is compensated. And the moment I step off the job site, they'll go back to doing the same shit. And so
But they will charge you for it though.
Well, yeah, of course. So I essentially like 2016, I kind of like fired everyone and I started doing everything myself. And 2016, right up to essentially the start of 2025, I've installed every single one of my own doors. I started it doing alone, which is not very smart, but because it's typically a 2 to 3 person job, especially the way I'm doing this. So I was at a point where I will come in there with like a semi-assembled door and I will build it on a job site because I'll bring in someone to help me carry the door system into the opening. I'd be at a job site for like 12 to 16 hours. I don't know how, like I worked till like 1 o'clock at night. I don't know how some of these clients didn't kick me off the job site. Well, the results, I guess, were worth it.
Well, I guess they wanted the door.
They wanted the door and they wanted my
instead of an opening for...
But eventually, slowly but surely, when you're like back against the wall like this, I'd optimize every single little thing, like every single tiny efficiency, better tools, better systems, better like a very specific step-by-step how to optimize that installation to make sure that we always get that same consistent result, but like within the minimum amount of time. And then I started, like my younger brother came on board and I trained him to do things.
Oh, it's great because that's somebody who cares.
It's not easy sometimes to work with family, but
I worked with family. I know.
Yeah, exactly. But no, he's good. He's good. He's actually the one who runs quality control right now on a job site when I'm in the office.
And which, by the way, to put it out there, none of the companies have most of the time. Windows and doors companies, they do not have
like quality control.
Like bigger, yes.
Oh, I see.
On smaller scale, no.
Nice one.
So good for you there.
It's tricky, yeah. And so after several years, I've gotten to the point where I could probably be in like the upper 5% quality-wise on the installers, and I could be like faster than most and
more efficient.
While still more efficient. I had like, tool set that was specifically set up and designed, and essentially the way I would normally say is that like we were like kind of like spec ops. There's only 2 of us, but we are highly efficient, very well equipped, and we get in and get out, as opposed to a lot of companies would have like several guys. They're not necessarily, they're doing a more basic result, and they're more like more people, less specialty, where we were like narrow specialty, highly efficient. We still are. It was pretty cool.
So funny enough, I'll tell you a little story from my experience because I can relay 100%. Pretty much my story is that I used to do windows and doors, as I said, as well. And I found that with the years, I wasn't efficient. I'm talking to other installers and I realized that while, let's say, it would take me to finish a full house of windows and doors, let's say in 3 days, they would do it in a day and a half and would get another job. I could never understand what's the reason for it. And I had a couple of friends, which, we work they work for one company, you work for another company, you see the amount of work they do, you do, and I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I not efficient? Now, I'm not making enough to make a long story short, to go a little bit further back, going forward, I went to architectural school because it didn't work out for me. I go into architectural school, I sit in my first class, Architecture 101, believe it or not. And they start teaching water management, and they show a section of a house, of a residential house. I'm sitting in this class, you know the story. I'm sitting in that class, and I have black in front of my eyes. I'm thinking how many clients are getting pretty much screwed, and I'll say the word, by the industry,
Yep.
Because we're talking about water management, we're talking about air and vapor barriers, which Windows installers don't even know. And I remember me being an apprentice for a guy before I even started installing myself. You demolish a window. How do you demolish a window? You cut it with a sawzall. You cut it out. You have all this nice black barrier there. What do you do? I remember I'm asking, okay, what do I do with it? Don't worry, just cut it out. Just cut it out. We cut it out. We install new windows. We spray foam it. Bam, 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 it's done. To make a long story short, when I was an installer, I didn't do it this way, but I remember that I was terrified. So a couple of years ahead, again, fast forward, I know installers until today that are still working the same way.
Of course.
The industry moved on. They do not know what water management is all about. When you tell them about Bluesking or something like that, they always argue with me. It's funny because I would bring crews from manufacturers that we take for custom homes, and I'm like, okay, guys, make sure that you put Blueskin here, there. That's not necessary. Don't worry, spray foam will hold the water from going inside, right? And I'm like, but what's going to happen to the water that stands on the framing?
Spray foam will absorb the water and
ridiculous, man.
Rot the framing at like 2 to 3 times the pace that it would if it was no spray foam.
It frustrates the hell out of me. It's like somebody comes in and just takes all my insides out. You know what I mean?
There's no formal education for window and door installers, to my knowledge. There are systems, but they're not enforced, right? There are no schools. It's not like the red carpentry seal or anything like that. There are programs like WindowWise and things of that nature, which is in essence like training and certification for window and door installer industry.
You see, I don't know anything about them because my time it wasn't existing.
Oh yeah, what is that? Who does?
Tell us a little bit about it.
It's kind of like a standard or a company that teaches and then they have their certification. It used to be at some point where you would apply for a government grant.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, it was like a requirement that not only the product was a certain like energy efficiency and things of that nature, but the installers had to be certified in a certain way.
What happened to it?
For you to qualify for the grant or a rebate. I think in many ways it turned into like a marketing ploy, where it wasn't really enforced. The amount of money that they were collecting to pass this program, and then you had to have like a membership fee and things of that nature.
Program or
like WSAB kind of thing. They started kind of
it was kind of one of those things where you can
a private company that becomes like a government kind of.
And so it wasn't well accepted by the industry.
Of course.
And then it's a very cutthroat market. Windows and doors is probably one of the, as it turned out, I didn't know that when I was getting into it, but it's probably one of the harder industries to work in because it's like everyone can do it essentially.
Yeah.
And to survive in it, a lot of
you don't need
people
Canadian
on a
experience
price. For it. Yeah, it was just not it was not very well accepted by the industry, and you could go for that system, but it wasn't really getting you any extra work or any profit or anything.
What you're saying, it was loss of time really, but nobody compensated for it, and therefore because installers are kind of self-employed, they were kind of losing.
No one's incentivized to use it, and so I think it still exists. But I don't think it's enforced in any way, and
if it's not government,
I don't think there's any requirements for any kind of schooling or anything like that. So it's kind of falls upon the installers themselves and whoever hires them to have that education, to have that quality control. And the reality of it is that people would get away with the minimum possible. Because
are your installers have the certificates?
No, they do not. What happened is the two guys that are essentially like there's a chief installer, like the head of the crew, and then they'll bring in their own helpers. And then like separately, there's my younger brother who's there as well
Quality
to help
control.
them in quality control. So these two guys, like we have install crew 1, install crew 2. I know them both for well over a decade. And then we trained together for 6 months. I'll be there on every single job site to make sure that they are very well aware of all of the things that I do. And so it's a combination of setting a very specific standard, having the people who are smart enough to recognize that they should follow it, even if I'm not on the job site, but also have someone to check after them and make sure that they're still doing things, even when the day goes bad and they, and you very much want to skip that extra step because you're tired and you're hungry and whatever else, but you still have to do it. So there's
is that even a consideration when you're hungry or tired? It kills me.
Yeah. So it's like it's a little bit of everything. Because for me, it was the biggest issue. When I kind of started stepping off the tools, I'm like, how am I gonna? My previous experience a decade before was that the moment I'm off the job site, things are not going to get done the way they're supposed to get done. And yeah, there's like tomato. There are some things that you can do a little bit differently, but there are certain things that are set in stone. We always do certain things. There's standard operating procedure, SOP. You implement that. Regardless, you always do this. Doesn't matter, right? And that was like one of those things, like having someone who respects me enough. And that was the thing, I think, too. When I was just starting up and I was green, I didn't have that, weight in the industry. I didn't have that name. Now, a decade later, I could say, okay, like, listen, this is how we're doing this. And I know you might have a different idea, but this is how we are doing this if you are working for me. And then having that training, putting that time in to make sure that they understand, finding people that would respect you enough to follow those instructions, but then you still have to check.
Yeah. What would you suggest to the homeowner? What questions should because homeowners don't ask any questions. They just want the price. And price is all nice and dandy, but how would you approach, how would you think the homeowner has to approach a company when they're hiring them? What question they should ask to make sure that the quality they will get is actually a good quality of product? And by good quality, forget product. All the product, to be honest with you, most products are more or less the same. I think good quality of installation.
It's both.
Because the problem is you're dealing with a salesperson most of the time. You're knowledgeable, great. You're going to come in and you will explain to the client that this paper air barrier should be there. We're going to use this. We're going to use Tyvek. We're going to use whatever material. But what should be a red flag to the homeowner when they're buying a door?
The problem, I think, inherently is that, like now doing it for, what is it? It's 2026. Now doing it for 17 years. I realize now that whatever I know is a lot, but I'm still learning things.
No, of course, forever.
And then to come up with like a basic set of minimum things that people should follow. I think a lot of it would come maybe from I think a lot of it is like a gut feeling of the level of attention to detail that the person has in general, right? Because yeah, you should have maybe a checklist of like where your doors are built, how they're built, know the manufacturer, know the warranties, get a basic like, are they shimmed? Are they spray foamed? Is there waterproofing in place? Are things square and plumb and stuff like that? My checklist is, I think, like 30 positions long, like at the end of the job that we kind of have to go through. Granted, a lot of it comes natural if you've been doing it for a long time, but for a homeowner, to set up a guideline, have a reputable company that has been ideally in the industry for more than a couple of years. And I know it shoots the new guys in the foot, but I know when I was starting up, I had to do the job for
You got to struggle. You got to
like
struggle.
lower
for,
profit just to get that reputation set in.
Gotta pay your dues.
But you see, is that a good thing actually? So if a guy comes in tomorrow, we got you, and a guy comes in tomorrow to work for a lower profit, that doesn't mean they're a good installer. That doesn't mean you're going to get a good product. It just means that they really, really want the job.
I know,
Right?
I know. And that's the reason why, like I now have that like little bit of a weight and
They're not better than you. They're definitely not. You were around for so many years, so clearly you got something going on. You got some kind of knowledge going on.
So I think have someone who's has some kind of reputation, at least seems to know what they're doing, well prepared, organized. You can oftentimes catch those things at an initial communication stage.
Yeah.
You can see how people prepare their estimates. You can see how people talk about the product and their level of knowledge about the product. You can ask whether or not they always work with the same crew, because that was the other thing too. It took me such a long time to find the right people. And unfortunately, the big issue, and I think it's just like Canada in general, we're so seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my volume fluctuates so much through the season that I cannot actually have someone on a payroll. My guys are on a subcontract
12 months worth of work
because the amount and the volume of work is so inconsistent. We are now at like the end of the start of like May is when my work volume quadruples after a long winter when there was barely anything.
Yeah, true.
Right? And no matter how much you prepare for it, you're always unprepared because it always gets overwhelming. And it's the same thing with installers. They've got this like short period of time when they have to generate most of the profit for the year. And then for like 3, 4, 6 months, the volume drops 50%.
Yeah, while you still got overheads and everything going on.
So yeah, it's like for me, it was building a relationship with the right people, making sure they have enough work from me to prioritize me over other companies. And, this is how we are able to keep the results consistent, is because I have the same people on my job site and I have quality control as well. So perhaps maybe ask a question, what is being done to make sure that the installation is done properly? And then have your basic standards. It's like, 2 layers of spray foam, waterproofing, proper shims, the quality of the doors themselves. What is the after sale? What is the warranty? How things are looked after? Should something go wrong? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years afterwards. So move it a little to those are better. Yeah. Those are probably the questions that I would ask. It's hard because it's such like an infinite number of options for consumer to consider between different products, different people. For me, it's always researching as much as I can, doing like if I was to buy something or if I was to hire someone, I'll put in a decent amount of time into research, websites like Google, Chat, GPT, whatever, to try to become as knowledgeable as I can on the topic, getting like 3, 4 people, because it's not even always about quality. It oftentimes is also about personality match. And then it's that 100%. Combination where the person seems to speak the right things. They seem to be knowledgeable. They got their shit together. They're organized. And we mesh well on a personality level that like working with them is going to be easy for me. When all of those things combined fall together, that'll be my pick.
So let me give you a scenario because I actually want to talk about business aspect of your operation as well. But last question I'll give you a scenario, which I handle on daily basis. So imagine that you come in, you're a great guy, you know everything about doors, you're very knowledgeable. You come in, you explain your client everything. The client fall in love with you because you're really clearly talking to you for all this time. You clearly know what you're doing, and you got great quality and all that. I give it a down payment. I go ahead with you. Not the day after, a month and a half later. An installer shows up with the door. Now, after talking to you And to you, I mean not you, one to one, right?
Mm-hmm.
After talking to one about barriers, installation, shims, making sure that the shims are right, plastic versus wood, so that they're not being soaked with water, all that, all of a sudden an installer shows up. The installer doesn't use the right shims because clearly they don't put the air barrier around the window as you promised. And you're in the middle of a situation where, and you try to approach them and tell them, listen, but I was told, not now, my friend. Let me finish my job. If you have a problem, call the office, this and that. And all of a sudden you're like with 3/4 of a house with openings and you feel, and let's be real, if you feel that something is wrong, you know, if it's probably something is wrong. And which leads me to another question together with that, whether or not you think that when a client breathes on your back is a bad thing or not. Because I personally believe it's not if you know what you're doing and you're comfortable and you're confident in what you're doing, that it's right. So situation like that, how can a client avoid this whole scenario where you're a great guy, you're a great company, but then let's be real, some asshole comes in.
People that you hire are assholes?
Yeah. So what would you advise? And how would you do that to make sure that you avoid that situation?
For the clients,
yes,
have clear written standards of how things are going to be done. Like I have an installation procedure written part of my contract. And I used to not do that.
This is the first time I'm hearing that. By the way.
But I've got a door configuration on my invoice that I walk the client through every single step. And that came from, I'm not a big fan of large contracts. I find a lot of time large contract with a lot of fine print is a business entity legally protecting them from anything possible. And that usually heavily skewed towards said business entity. Exactly. So I actually don't like big contracts. I don't like paperwork in general. Coming from, you know, a trades background ADHD person. I hate paperwork. But
ADHD people, one of them is right here across you.
Yeah, you know that when you're like 5 espressos in and it actually calms you down instead of hyping you up.
For 10 minutes.
That's why you have...
And then you have a next one.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm 6 to 8 a day. But 2 things. For the client, have written standards in the contract. Don't be afraid to ask for it, because if it's not written, if it's not in a written form, it doesn't exist. And yeah, it's tedious. The salesperson may...
Oh, no, I definitely agree with you. It's not tedious at all.
Listen, honestly, for me, if the client asks me for that extra confirmation or write something in, I don't mind, because I understand this is to protect both of us, because we've established that the work is going to be done in a certain way, and there's nothing wrong with writing up some details. Now, it was very much for me, it started with the first time I started asking for a signature on my invoice was during COVID, when the production cycle time of a door sometimes tripled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my clients would forget what they ordered. Should you not? Like, we come in with a door, and I had this procedure of always walking people through every aspect of the door. This is the way it opens. This is what its material is going to be. This is what the door is. This is what the finish is. This is what the glass is. This is how it works.
Holy
this is
crap,
what the lock is.
Didn't remember.
Every single little thing. Like, it takes like 15 minutes to go for the invoice. I do that every time. I used to not have signatures. I started collecting signatures just to have some kind of a proof that we've actually had this conversation. Mm-hmm. Now, luckily, we're back to our, normal, like, I'd say like a 6 to 8 week cycle. It's not as bad. It used to be way worse. But like, that was one thing that it caused me to implement, having clients sign off on an actual invoice. And as of like this year, I've updated my warranty to make it more clear and transparent. And I've also, because starting 2025, I've put in an enormous amount of work into setting up business systems. And that was like something that I always wanted to do and I never had time to do, is to write up that installation procedure. This is for my installers to do things a certain way, but this is also for my clients. Now there's a client forward or client facing version of it that is implemented within the contract now that
so you educate them what actually is going to happen.
Yeah.
That's freaking amazing.
And unfortunately, it's a like huge amount of information. Not every client would want to learn it or have the attention span to learn it, but at least I try. And having that in writing is the only way how you can protect yourself, because
I think that's amazing.
You're going to be in a situation like this, and listen, like unfortunately, I've been in a situation like this. Like I went for that when I had a client call me and he's like, "I don't think your guys had put the spray foam in," and I'm like, "No." He's like, "Yeah." This was the first time, the first 5 years of me trying to set it up before I kind of knew what I know now. And I come in, I pull the casing off,
and there's no spray foam.
Can I swear?
Sometimes.
The fucking guy ran out of spray foam halfway through the door and just left it that way.
Holy
Imagine the embarrassment
that
I've had in front of the client.
Embarrassment, that's the word. Yeah.
It makes you look like a complete
like an idiot.
Moron.
Yes.
Right? So
you're standing there for a couple of hours telling them how everything is going to be perfect. And it's like, it's not even that it's not. It's just an idiot who decided to,
it's like, why?
Yeah.
It's like you ran out of spray foam. Call me. I'll deliver you a can of spray foam. Why did you just chose to just not do it?
And you know what the worst part?
And they think that they're going to get away with it when they will not.
That's not what they think. That's the worst part. They really think that, it's not going to be a big deal. Nobody gonna ever will. You see, that's the problem. Nobody will ever pay attention to it.
And then you open up, we open up some doors and the stuff that we see. And it's it's infuriating sometimes.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Sometimes it's like, okay, the energy efficiency had suffered and the client had lost some couple of $100 over the year in heating costs or something like that, right? Like that could be like one reason. But a lot of times, or sometimes, it is massive amounts of water being dumped into the water opening, spray foam soaking it in.
Yeah.
Do that cycle for 2 years, you get black mold.
Yeah.
I've had several projects. I still have videos of it because I document a lot of stuff on my Instagram. We were doing a walkout door on one of those semi-new builds where they tear the whole thing down and leave one wall and then build it back up.
Okay.
3 or 4 story house, flat roof, walkout terrace, wall, a door that was not properly tied into the roof assembly, leaking 2 floors down.
Wow.
We open it up, there's black mold and stuff.
Yeah.
I knew some guys from Demolition and mold remediation. I was calling them up to just ask how bad is it? Because I'm afraid to close it now. And there was some stuff where we had to we've taken care of, the portion that we've accessed, but I've also been giving clients information of mold remediation companies because this is clearly this is a health issue.
Yeah, no, that's a problem. Yeah.
And you've just what if even a healthy person is going to suffer from that? Forget it. If someone has respiratory illnesses or, something like that, asthma and allergies and things like that, that's not the kind of stuff you want to be circulating for your house, duct system. And it doesn't happen very, very often, but there were a couple of things that I've seen that were legitimately scary. That were a health concern.
But listen, I love the fact that you're doing those kind of, what do you call those?
Extra steps?
No, not extra steps. One sec. RTFMs.
RTFM.
What's that?
Read the effing manual kind of thing.
Oh.
So, I'll tell you something. Every time that I assemble or do something at home, my wife is like, read the RTFM.
Nobody.
So, yeah, because honey, I can do it. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. I know what I'm doing. So it's great that you give those RTFMs to your clients, because at the end of the day, it's awesome. The client is standing there, he's looking at, okay, your window is going to be demolished. Great, it's demolished. Then they're going to do air barrier. Great, they did or not. It's awesome. Plus, smart, because now you're creating every client your quality control. Let's be real. Every client is kind of your quality control. If something is going south and they call you in the middle, oh, you said they're on the first window, you said they're going to do water management system or vapor, they don't do air barrier. What do you think? You kind of can stop right there and you can call the installer.
I would. Well, the funniest thing was that I have my brother for that. And the funniest thing is I was in a situation not so long ago, and this just shows that you can build all of these systems, you can implement all of these standard operating procedures and stuff like that. But if you do not put in an additional component of actually checking it, like I had the client who was like very detail oriented. My brother was not there, and my guys forgot the waterproofing membrane. I don't think they did it intentionally. And the client brought it to their attention.
That's amazing.
Because we've had this conversation with the client, and I was like, "That's awesome."
Yeah.
Because, like, what did you do afterwards if the door was already installed? You pull the whole door out, right?
Yeah. No.
And that's like, it still happens, and it's funny because this is, I think, the part that maybe some of the homeowners should understand. No matter how many fail safes and backups you build into your systems as a business, there's always a chance for things to go sideways.
Yeah.
And it happens, unfortunately, sometimes. And this is when you read the reviews and you learn how the company had dealt with issues.
With the situation, yeah.
Because unfortunately, especially when you start hitting a certain volume, right? Inevitably things are going to pop up, not from your end. You'll do everything properly. You'll create systems to catch mistakes. You'll do this and that, and they're still going to slip through. Mm-hmm. How are you going to deal with that afterwards? And how, previously it was dealt with, right? And like I've have, some jobs, a small percentage when things just didn't go as planned at all. We've got like delays, this and that. So, I'm doing my best to say, hey, listen, we've screwed up. This is how it happened. This is what we're doing to mitigate it. And this is how it's going to be done. And unfortunately, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. But I think, you got to understand that it might happen, and it might happen to you. And if it is happening to you, look at how the company is dealing with that.
So I'll tell you what, to support your point, because I agree 100%. We're all in the construction industry. We make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. I always say that a good contractor is not the one who doesn't make mistakes, because that you're not going to find anyone who never has issues with something small that is going on. It's how you take responsibility and how you approach to fix it, if required. It's like you would have a contractor that will come in and, oh, it's not my problem. It's whoever did the brick. It's whoever did the roof. It's whoever did this. Dude, just take responsibility, reinstall it quickly, fix it, and move on with your life. That's it. So I definitely agree. A good contractor is not who doesn't make mistakes. Is the one who will take your call quickly, take initiative, will fix it quickly, and move on.
Yeah, and this is where I think that's where that personality part comes in.
Yeah.
When someone can say the right things and seem to have good reviews or whatever else, but you have this gut feeling that something's off. That it could be that.
Yeah.
I've been in a situation where I've got in trouble because whatever the person was saying their actions were not lining up later on once things went sideways.
Yeah.
And this is psychology. This is therapy.
But that's the sad part. That a client they should be a psychologist, they should be a contractor, it should be everything. Think about it. You gotta go on YouTube, you gotta spend your 40 hours learning how to do windows and doors legitimately by a couple of YouTubers, okay, who don't know how to do anything at the end of the day. But
I would go on YouTube.
But
Yeah,
listen, and then I'll tell you what one of my clients told me a couple of weeks ago. Max, I spoke to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT told me, I'm like, whoa, you spoke to what?
It actually has some it depends.
It
Really depends. Really depends. Listen,
you don't know what's good and what's bad. That's
really depends. ChatGPT gives you a lot of mistakes our days, and what ChatGPT does, it gives you answers by others that were
most
highlighted more and most popular.
Highest,
not always the
upvote
correct.
on Reddit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what's going on. But yeah, the clients are there. The question is, how you treat those clients. But let's not worry about that. Let's talk a little bit about your business. Let's talk a little bit about how you run your operation, and you gave us a little information about the fact that you have quality control, which is your brother. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Number one, you are creating, I call those RTFMs, or SOP. You call those
SOP.
SOPs.
Well, that's a pretty standard term for the...
But yeah, SOP, you're creating SOPs for your clients to understand what they're doing. Those are great things. Tell us a little bit about your operation, how you run it on a daily basis, and where you are in this operation.
So what happened is, for a long number of years, I've tried to run every aspect of the business myself. And it worked fairly well in a sense that I've gotten quite good at many different things, from installing the doors to running the business itself, and marketing and sales, and having a finances and banking degree kind of helps with that too. That's the funniest thing. I'm a finances and banking major doing doors.
Nice.
And for the longest time, I was person who was working with my own hands, like I still have. So what happened?
Is the banking degree Canadian or?
No, back from Russia. 5 years university.
Because I'll tell you what, I got a banking diploma from Canada. Funny enough.
And it's funny because in construction, you're going to meet programmers, finance majors, whatever else. Like the amount of backgrounds, and then everyone ends up in construction, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. So for me, I've spent a very long time doing everything myself. And at some point, that was like the very end of 2024, like it was kind of like a pivotal year in many different ways. A lot of personal stuff happened. And I was like, that's it. I cannot just do everything myself constantly. It just doesn't work. And so I decided, okay, I've knew about this for the very long time. You have to get off the tools. You have to work on the business. You have to be a little bit less in the business. And, it's good to be in the dirt, but the big picture matters. And when you're constantly in the dirt, when you're 95% in the dirt, you don't see the big picture at all. Mm-hmm. So I've put in a lot of effort into trying to my best to sort of remove myself a little bit from the day-to-day
out of the equation,
and try to look at a big picture a little bit more. And I had a full-blown identity crisis because, listen, when you're on you're so cool when you're on the tools. You're there. You have your Diamondback harness, tool belt. You got all of your Milwaukee. Well, for me, it's Milwaukee.
I was going to ask about
everything's red and black. Everything's red and black. You got your setup. You got your saws, table saws, this and that. You got all the cool stuff, and you're doing this. And it is truly like one of the most enjoyable portions of the job is being on the tools and building stuff, and you see how things are put together, and you problem solve on site. And, it could be sunny, or it could be raining, or it could be cold. You're doing stuff and you're like working through the problems. It's very satisfying.
Also, you're away from the stress, everyday stress, and the all the administration of the business.
Different kind of stress.
So,
I've been there. I can relate to it 100%.
A little slice step. So I got this like the Whoop tracker, which is your biometrics tracker for sports and stuff like that, to measures as part of it, like stress levels, which are calculated by like your blood pressure, pulse, this and that.
It's almost like you're sponsored by them.
I am not. I am
Please
not.
sponsor.
There is a variety of devices that work in the same manner. This is
Yeah,
just
yeah.
something that seems to be working for me. When I started clocking in a significant amount of time in the office, I only have it for like just over a year. I realized when I'm on a job site installing doors, my stress levels are here.
0. Yeah, I know.
Nice.
When I'm in the office, you
100.
you can literally see when I was on the phone with the supplier for 20 minutes sorting out the issue. Like it jumps like that. I shit you not. It like you could see it.
Wow.
My stress levels in the office were legitimately higher than they were on a job site.
Yeah.
And that was like mind blowing to me. I only started doing this last year. So I only started wearing it last year. And I've never realized how much of a difference it is. But now, unfortunately or fortunately, this is part of what I do. My job now is to make sure that my clients are happy, that my guys have everything that they need to do the job properly, and that like that whole business kind of works well as a machine. So just, sorry, I get sidetracked a lot.
No. It's very important.
In terms of just general day-to-day operations on how things work. So I am mainly now like sales and management. So I'm the one who deals with clients. I am the one who deals with suppliers, things like orders and things of that nature. I've got 2 installation crews.
Firefighter. Firefighter.
Oftentimes. Hopefully less so as time passes by and we build better systems to handle this. But I have 2 installation crews, both of which trained with, decade plus of experience. I have this like crucial part, my younger brother, who's with me for on and off for the longest time, like decade for sure, but full-time last 3 years or so. So he knows exactly how things have to be done. And I have a habit of like documenting how things are progressing on a job site on Instagram for stories, so my clients can see how the door is getting installed. And I save all of these things, and it gives me also ability to go back up to 2 years and see how the particular installation was done.
From the start.
Oh, that's such a cool way to.
Yeah, so we actually I can say, hey, we did install the membrane here. This is it on video. We did the spray foam, and it's like I usually tell him document all the crucial steps. So my younger brother is kind of like apprentice level installer. He is a videographer. He is client relations on a job site. So this was actually a really cool thing that I've realized.
So you do it for every job, every door.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll document like every door.
Just justice to your brother.
One thing that I realized, and that was like part of my experience from the first 5 years of trying to set up in a door business. Best trades aren't necessarily good communicators. In fact, a lot of them, it's the complete opposite.
That's true, yeah.
And I think for me, it's a little bit of a funny hybrid. I tend to be very sociable, very much an extrovert. So I like talking to people. So if the client has a question, I'll stop. I'll explain all of these things. I'll kind of have fun with it and stuff like that too. It almost came as shock to me to realize it's like most people are not like that.
That's what happened to people on the spectrum.
And yep. And I've been in a situation where the job was done great. The client went to the installer to ask something. They were not in the mood to talk to them because they are busy installing a door. And it's not that they were rude, but they weren't nice enough. There's a difference, right? And then suddenly I'm there to, pick up the payment. And the client's like nitpicking on some little details that are completely insignificant, which we will still obviously take care of. But I realize it's just the client is just pissed. And I'm like, all of that because like I cannot fault the installer for this.
No,
because
they're there to do their job.
They're there to do their job. They're there to install a door. And every minute, every 5 minutes, every 15 minutes they spend explaining to the client how things are done and things of that nature, add to their time, and they're not paid hourly. It's still
that's where
configuration.
That's where the slippery slope is, because now the client is thinking, I'm buying a product that is so expensive.
I don't know whether or not it's done properly.
And they're not even taking their time to explain to me, just for the sake of my peace of mind, tell me that it's okay. You know what I mean? I've been an installer, I know. And that's why I had to leave, because the people like you and I, unfortunately, don't, well, not you and I, I'm not going to talk for you,
service,
like me,
as much as we are
don't
trade.
Make enough, because we would stop and explain, and we would stop and do, and we would stop and invest the other 10%.
That's the client's fault. They need to know who to ask. Like, they need to understand what's going on.
That's not true.
Not the client's fault. Listen,
not true.
as a business owner, this is your problem to solve.
Yes, it is. But
how is it that you have the happy customer, that there's a certain level of customer service that you expect is done, but you also have a happy trade who is working for you, who is paid to install a door, not necessarily to be a consultant or an entertainer. So, and listen, like, in the end of the day, the way I particularly solved for this was that, like, my younger brother, who, poor guy, is the biggest introvert you're going to find. It's so funny because you couldn't get a word out of him. He had to change. He had to adopt his different personality type. He's the one that, like, I always say, if you have any questions, Arseny is there, and you come to him with those questions.
yeah, exactly. See?
Yeah.
What do you mean exactly? You got to pay a salary for a person to spend their time to question.
No.
So now there is an extra cost to that.
That's smart.
And
that's smart.
And this is, so now you have an extra cost to your install, and now you have to, like, explaining all of that to the client. You cannot, like, it's tricky, but that's the difference.
But that's where you're the elite. That's where you are the 30-40%. You pay me maybe a little bit more, but you're going to get the full service. Yeah. That's actually amazing.
And you try to find that fine line between, like, actually your expenses per job and your profit margin. And this is, like, we've not even touched the whole financial part of it, profit margins, how to run a business that actually makes money, and how to know whether or not it makes money too, because that was the lost part for me. A person with a freaking financial background realizing, like, 17 years into running the business, that, like, I don't have a clear enough picture of where my numbers are. Yeah. And I was always way too busy putting out fires and dealing with, like, 17 million things to dive deep enough into the financial background. You just
look at the cash flow and the operation. Like, you keep ordering, you keep paying, they keep paying you, and you're like,
you kind of just look
what
at
what am I making?
Like,
what are my sales? What are my this and that? I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. But listen, it sounds like you are having, first of all, you're doing the right things. And I learned so much about a door company that I haven't seen when I was there. I definitely agree that in your situation, the installer is not the entertainer or the teacher or anything, because you got a person to do it. Mm-hmm. Other companies don't do that. On the other hand, if I'm the client, maybe I am willing to pay a little bit more for the mindset to know that whatever is being done, it's done right, that somebody is there, that the quality control is being done, that somebody will answer my question, that the installer will not be frustrated. But also, is that something that you do as part of client education? Or is it something you just send? Like, how would you tell me that as a client? Listen, you're going to have an installation crew coming in. I know it sounds weird. Don't worry asking them questions. You can pay a little bit more, and I'm going to have quality control person that is there throughout the installation. How exactly does that work?
They're going to be like,
the funniest thing is I am not using it as a sales feature.
It's weird. Yeah, right.
And maybe I should. It does naturally come up in a conversation fairly often, because the whole preparation stage between figuring out what the client wants, to build in the quote, to then seeing them at a manufacturing facility, because I do that as well. I'll walk people through how the door is built at an actual factory,
Oh, wow.
where it is
Wow.
built.
But that's cool.
I need them to see every, what kind of hinges are we using, what kind of materials used for the frame, every aspect of the door. They need to know.
So they
Where
usually
the
wanna
hell do
go,
you find
take
the
them
time
by
for all that?
force, kind of like, come, I'm gonna take you to the factory.
I insist.
I'm joking.
It's funny that you
I
say
put a
that.
chain on them.
I have clients that like especially a lot of Toronto clients, because all of the manufacturing facilities are kind of like along 407, and it's like it could be an hour to get from like the beaches to
Yeah, downtown people,
Woodbridge.
it doesn't exist for them. This
North of 401.
Yeah, forget it.
And they're like, we're okay. Everything looks good. I'm like, no. I'm like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna jump on Zoom. You don't have to leave home.
Well, that works.
But I'm gonna walk you through the whole, like, I'm gonna zoom in on specific things that I want to show you. And what do you think? It's like, oh, is this piece of trim like this that holds the glass on the door? Can we make it flat? I'm like, yes, you can. But if you didn't bring that up, it would have been curved, like it would have been profiled, because that's the standard. And there is an option, and it's whatever, like $10 more. But if you would have never seen those two different doors with two different types of molding that holds the glass in the door, you would have never seen it.
Exactly.
And you would have never asked that question, and it would have came up during an installation.
And you know what's
And
cooler?
whose fault would have that been? It would have been my fault as a business owner not explaining this.
But also, you know what's cooler after that? When your door is installed and everybody's asking, where'd you get that trim? Because everybody are not asking that question and giving you that as a default, the other trim. And all of a sudden, you see that one door with that trim. Very cool.
And then you trying to figure out a fine line of between giving clients too much information so that they cannot make up their mind, and too little information that they're in the that they are in the dark because you don't want them to have too many choices. This is something that I struggle with.
Sometimes I
all
have
the
a problem with it as well. I overgive information to my client. They're like, hold on, Max, but you were saying this and that, and you were trying to be nice, but now they can't even make their mind anymore.
I have a project right now where we confirmed everything, and we confirmed a specific handle, and it's a multi-point lock system, which is more complex in terms of things are very much tied one into another.
Apologize. You made me realize something.
So it's a specific handle with a specific type of smart lock. And a specific handle only works with that particular type of multi-point lock mechanism, and that particular smart lock only works with that particular type of handle. Everything is confirmed. The door is 2 weeks into production. We've just confirmed the actual style of the handle with a client. 2 days later, like, can we change this to an entirely different type? I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, I really don't want to, but okay. Yes, you can, but I have to put a stop order on the door production right now because we're 2 weeks into production, and they might have cut out the holes in the door for a different set of hardware. And that handle that you want is a different type. So it requires a different multi-point lock mechanism and a different type of smart lock that is specifically made for that particular handle. But if you really want to, we can do it, but please let me know within as soon as possible whether or not you're serious about this, because now I have to put a stop order on the door. I have to recalculate the cost for a different hardware system, and hopefully
the manufacturer is not very happy with you at that point.
And hopefully they're not at the point in a production cycle, which they're probably not. Like 2 weeks is almost there. 2 weeks, and hopefully they've not gotten to the point of actually processing the components, because then you're on a hook for a component cost because you already signed off on a different type of lock. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, we're serious about this. And so, and then I have to sit down and recalculate several different options and, send them the cost difference, put a stop order on the door. Luckily, it's not been processed. And then and then we changed it. Right. But it's like,
yeah.
You have these moments sometimes where, like, I don't want to explain that there is an option, but for me, it's like, it's an obligation because I know that it exists. And
You
I
got
think,
that voice inside of you telling you gotta tell everything to your client.
yeah,
I got the same problem.
and you're already
Well,
like,
it's not a problem.
anticipating the amount of extra work you're about to create for yourself, but it is your responsibility to the client to do this. And that's when that voice in your head is like, I wish I was just like everyone else, just doing like 3 options and just like not even having the knowledge that the other options exist. But yeah, no, it's then you're
Well,
like,
listen, to be honest with you, that's where the difference is coming from, where you see all the cookie cutters, the same kind of situation going on, and all of a sudden you see this one nice door and you're like, who did this? Right?
But too many options is a bad thing also.
It is
There's
a bad
like
thing.
a limit
It's
of how
always a
many
bad thing.
options you want to have.
a lot of it. So I think this is where a lot of my clients are asking me, it's like, okay, and this was for me too, a thing to like figure out what is my value now that I'm not on the tools. And yeah, like as I said, like I had a whole full-blown identity crisis. If I'm not on the tools, if I'm not wearing a tool belt, like am I still cool? Like, am I still valuable? I realized that I have this extensive knowledge of all the different things that exist within the world of doors. And I'm able to take the client's input, take the information, take whatever they want, and figure out what works best for them from like thousands of different options, literally. And then I'm able to, that's on like the sales side of things and customer service side of things. And then the other thing as a business owner, that was the cool thing is like I used to play a lot of like real-time strategy games. Like more like StarCraft, that kind of stuff. Not as much.
The first one?
Yeah, and the Brood War and stuff like that too. That's going way back. And I realized like I used to take pleasure in fine-tuning every smallest aspect of building the doors. How do you cut your miters? How do you join your trim? What glue you're going to use? Are you going to use trim screws to, connect those corners? What are you going to use to make sure that like your hardware is perfectly straight? How do you line up? How do you shim the door? How do you spray foam the door? What are the specific ways of doing? Because there's an infinite complexity to it. Now I realized I'm building this machine that has these million moving parts to it. You've got all of these processes. You've got the people now that are part of it, that are dependent on you, that you also have to deal with. And there are many, many, many different unknowns. And you're putting all of this together and you're trying things and they're working and some of them are not working. And you fix this and you implement that. And like, little by little, piece by piece, you're building this like super complex machine essentially. And there are glimpses of it when things are not on fire and they're working correctly. And that's the satisfying part of that. Because I used to be, it's like one of the most satisfying thing for me was to finish the job and look at it. And it's like, this looks amazing. And I did this. Well, we did this because, it's a crew and stuff like that. But like you went from envisioning something to having a tangible physical object that you've created. And there's something that nothing really replaces that. But now kind of the joy that I had to find in, getting off the tools and looking more into systems and, processes and things of that nature is there is a little bit of that is that like I'm building this like very, very, very complex,
less visible
mechanism and it's less visible. It's mostly invisible because when it runs the way it should, everything looks fine. Yeah, exactly. You only see it when it doesn't run the way, like you only notice that there was this, and this that didn't work and now things are on fire. But there are these like, because I'm only really like a year and a half into actively pushing
being a business person.
Yes. And and I get these glimpses. I was telling you on the phone, there was this sometime in July last year or August last year. I'm a night owl. My typical schedule is like I'd go to bed around 1 o'clock at night. I'd get up around 7. And so there was this like one day we are supposed to have an installation, and something happened. I didn't hear my alarm clock. I wake up, it's like 9:30 in the morning.
Stress all over your body.
I'm like panicking because we're supposed to have an install. And I look at my phone and there are no phone calls, no missed phone calls, no nothing. And that makes me feel even worse because I'm like, oh my God, something must have happened so bad that they like, I have this like full blown anxiety attack. And so I, call my guys and they're like, no, everything is good. We are on a job site. Everything is going well. And the client is happy. So like that day, they did what they were supposed to, which was to, like, the client was informed the day before that everything is good. This is the time when they're going to be there. My guys have a system when once they pick up the door, they're supposed to message the client what time they're going to be there as they're driving, like from their GPS and stuff like that, because there's a, variance to that. Mm-hmm. They did all of that. The door came in, correct size, everything was right. All the parts were there. No one forgot to put the handle together with the door, so it was still there. Like all the parts are there. Everything's running smoothly. Everything's good. I just in case I called the client, they're like, yeah, it's awesome. Guys are working there. We gave them some coffees. Everything's beautiful. Thank you very much.
That's your value.
And then I'm like, and that was that like moment somewhere like late summer last year when there was a glimpse of like, oh, and yeah, this is my value, but like, oh, this is what it feels like when things are actually like, this is what I'm working towards.
Mm-hmm.
Because this was not something that I've had before, and it's like, oh, there are going to be days when I will be able to maybe sleep till like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do 7.5 hours of sleep instead of 6, maybe.
Question for you. So, do you now wish you did it earlier?
I could have done it about 5 years back. I was ready for it about 5 years back.
You got to go through certain things, though, to understand. It takes time.
Yeah, So what drove me to it in a way, or one of the things, is that the result of me not doing this was essentially my marriage failing. I am a year into the divorce. Not gonna go too deep into that, but it's not.
So it did fail eventually.
So what happened is one of the reasons, or one of the big kind of aha moments or oh shit moments, was that I've realized that like I cannot do things the way I am, because me doing the things the way I used to do them was a big contributor to why things
you were working
turned out
24/7
the way they were with my personal life. And it is a two-way street. It is not entirely my, but I was a big contributor to that. And, this is like, I've been in therapy for a little while. So, yeah, it was definitely part of that. And do I wish I've done it 5 years prior? Maybe. Yeah, probably. But it's not, what's done is done. Things happen in the way they're supposed to happen.
Things happen in the way they're supposed to happen, and you need to be ready for it. You need to understand. I can relate to everything. I can relate to everything, including issues, because when you work 24/7, this is something that your significant others don't like. It doesn't matter what you do at the end of the day. So I also developed a business. Here we in Acadia, we also have systems and everything. But 10 years ago, we weren't as organized clearly as we are now as a builder. Mm-hmm. So I was putting hours. I would work until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, would come back home, sleep a couple of hours, go back to the office, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I was very angry. I was very upset. I wasn't there 100%. It influenced me and my family life as well. It was a very difficult time in my life when I thought that, I got to pick the business because the business is going to die, and
you're not going to make enough money, and you're going to fail your family because you're the provider.
Exactly. So I can definitely relate to it. It's very difficult. And that's what brought me to a situation eventually that I said to myself, okay, I got to do something. It's not going to continue forever. What are we doing? We need more help. We don't have the money for more help. What do we do? Which, by the way, brings me to a big business problem to a lot of people. So I will give that right now as an example. We don't have the money, but I need help. What do we do? People say, well, we need to make the money to bring help. No, we bring help. This help will help us bring money.
The money.
And this is the secret, I believe, in every business. Some get to it earlier, some get to it a little bit later. It doesn't matter. It looks like our days you got to this situation, to this answer, because I remember, again, in my case, tell me if you can relate to it, my wife was helping me doing paperwork because I was all over the place. The business is growing a little bit, but it was me and another partner / friend / designer. I was on the sale part. He was on tools, but not really on AutoCAD. And we're trying to develop this business. And she's like, listen, I'm tired. I'm doing my own job. I'm doing your job. Kids, what the hell? And you're working until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, showing up when I don't see you leaving before I wake up. Like, what the hell is going to happen? Where are we going with it? And she's like, you got to get a secretary. You got to get a secretary. I'm like, but I don't have the money for a secretary. How the hell am I going to get a secretary? She's like, listen, I don't know. Do whatever you need. So my advice, first of all, about that, you don't need to. I was thinking, okay, how am I making enough money to have budget for
an additional person on a payroll?
An additional person on payroll, like 50, 60 grand. How do I get that done? And then you're going to tell me, okay, that's funny. You should have known that all along, but I didn't. And then I realized one day, you don't need to have 12 months of salary. You need to have 2-3 months of salary. And that person will make enough work instead of you, and you will be able to bring more business to the company. This is something that completely changed my mind. This mindset of investing before getting it back. Mm-hmm. It completely changed my mind. And and if somebody out there thinks and doesn't know how to, and they're stuck in their business, how to promote not the hard work, but to promote sales and to promote better life quality, I guess this is the way out.
I think in a lot of ways, there's no shortage of information about what to do. I think a lot of the times
there's no time to approach it.
I think it's like you're some kind of a psychological barrier or fear or whatever it is within you.
It is a psychological barrier.
I know
100%.
for me, for a fact, I was like, my entire personality was tied to being the proud craftsman and to be on the tools and stuff like that, and to do all of those things and, dirty hands, clean money, all of that jazz. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that was preventing me from taking that step. Like, I'm a finance and banking major. I've listened and read an infinite number of books and podcasts about how to run a business. Knowing how to do things does not equal doing said things at all. And you either come to that moment or you do not. And you come to that moment whether it's like there's something's going to happen if you do, right? Like for me, it was a very deep personal, trauma that ended up kind of like working as a catalyst for that decision, because I was back against the wall essentially, because the business was not working the way it was. That was the funniest thing. Well, not the funniest thing. I think it's an ironic thing or a tragic thing or whatever you want to call it. Oftentimes you are working 24/7. You're working this whole time. You don't have the money. You are somehow working, and this is such a it's a cognitive dissonance thing. Is like, how the hell am I making all of these sacrifices, working 24/7, doing all of these things, and not making enough? And man, this is like, and it's like, and it's like, what if I do things differently? What if it's going to get even worse? Right. So I think it's like certain, fears, barriers, whatever you have in your head that are preventing. At least that was the thing for me. Like I've listened to hundreds of podcasts with business owners that were 2-3 steps above me in that evolution. People that are heading bigger companies, working and managing large numbers of people and making significantly more than I am. And I knew what I was supposed to do. I just wasn't doing it. There's like, listen, we live in the age of like infinite access to information. You can ask ChatGPT, give me 5 best books for, managing the business, transitioning from being on the tools to managing the business and stuff like that. But like taking that step, sometimes there's something that's holding you back from it.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people listen to those gurus, but not really know how to use that information in real life applications.
Not making the first step.
Yeah. Question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe in manifestation?
To an extent. It's like a self-programming in a way. I think what it is just from like a logical perspective, if you do not have a clear picture of where you're heading, if you don't have the somewhere to aim for, you're always going to be lost. And the funny thing is sometimes it doesn't have to be some kind of a perfect plan, but if you don't have the goal, you're going to be aimless and you're not going to get anywhere. And this is, I think, how that, whole manifestation thing works. Whether it is, setting goals and having a business plan and creating a step-by-step, big picture, smaller step, how to get there and breaking things down in a more logical way? Or is it like waking up in the morning and doing one of those, what do you call, affirmations? Doing affirmation. It's not stupid because it works.
It depends on the person.
But it depends on the person. There are going to be different things that are going to work for different people, but they're ultimately the same thing. You're setting up some kind of a target, some kind of a goal, some kind of and again, we live in an age of infinite distractions.
Yeah.
The reason why we are all suddenly ADHD is because, like, I think a lot of it is technology induced.
You're right.
Yeah, right. I think it's exacerbated by technology. I have to. I had to figure out methods and systems on how not to be on my phone when I'm working.
And how to deal with your anxiety every morning because you're getting out towards the world.
Yeah, and
we all live with it.
all
It's just
kinds
a lot
of things.
People will not talk about it.
Well, the funniest thing is that I think it's like, being 41 right now, I've never really thought about this. I think that was like one of the big things last year. A lot of it was like self-reflection and therapy and figuring things out about myself. And it's like, I never really realized, like, if I go and get diagnosed right now, I'm pretty sure it's clear as day that I'm ADHD. But never,
good for you understanding
I
that.
never really thought about it that way. I was like, I'm just the kind of person who can only work by hyper-focusing on things. And if I'm not in that flow state, so the way it works best for me is I'll hyper-focus for 3-4 hours. And that will usually involve putting my headphones on, drum and bass or something, non-stop stream of espressos, and I'll crunch through a massive amount of work in a span of 3-4 hours. I'll burn out completely. I cannot touch anything important after that. And then I can still do
like
work,
sprinter.
but nothing sprints, not marathons.
Okay.
And I developed systems around that and things, and I was always like this. And I didn't realize that was not normal or whatever. Like, I don't think there's a normal. I think
It's
just
normal. It's just a different kind of norm.
Yeah, but I didn't realize there was like a label to that, right? I thought like, this is just how my brain operates, so this is what I do.
But speaking of that, a lot of people also don't understand, sorry for cutting you off for a second. A lot of people don't understand that there is a reason why certain people are in certain professions. There is a reason why you end up in construction because you cannot take instruction for anybody else. Because you can go and install this door for 5 hours a day, but then you need this
But you started in
peaceful
finance.
mind and everything.
You started in finance.
Yeah,
That's different. That's schooling.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
That's what parents are
that's the
expecting
reason why
of
I'm
you.
not. Yes.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
a different story, my friend.
I was between graphic design and finance, and finances was a safer choice. That's what it is.
Safer, yeah.
Safer
And nobody
choice.
back there, nobody believes in ADHD. ADHD doesn't exist.
Yeah,
You just have
this
to
is
study harder.
Going
You just
back
have to
to
sit
Russia.
down
This is
on
not
your
even a
butt and-
thing.
Yeah, exactly. I was
Listen,
gonna
I'll
say-
tell you what, I'm Lithuanian.
Yeah.
So we're coming kind of from the same
Similar
Soviet
ethnical
kind- at the
background,
end of the day,
yeah,
kind of
mentality
thing.
kind of thing.
problem.
Yeah.
So I can definitely understand. I was also growing in a country where there's no such thing as ADHD. You got to make sure that you sit on your butt and you study much more and all that
Not
kind of stuff.
incorrect on some level.
My friend, it
On
is,
some level.
but it's a different philosophical.
if you
There's
cut
always
off social-
nuance to everything.
If you cut off social media completely, your attention span would probably change.
Improve, yeah.
Yeah.
Improve much
Yeah.
better, yeah.
So there's like
100%.
So I'll tell you something that I started doing in the past couple of months. It started with me punishing actually my daughter, telling her that she cannot be on her phone, whatever, at night. It led to us leaving all our phones on the first floor.
Mhm.
We're not taking them upstairs. We're not using them in bed. We're not, nothing.
that's great.
My levels of anxiety dropped drastically.
Yeah, for sure.
Drastically.
I've done like social media detoxes. So that was like actually one big thing that happened to me as I realized like that whole transition and everything. I have not had personal Instagram since from 2016 to 2025.
I've never had Instagram.
I've had business Instagram that I started that slowly grew to be everything. It was for business. It was for personal stuff.
personal and
It was
everything.
where I had my friendships with people from the industry and stuff like that. One of the things that was part of that like step of trying to separate myself from my work was that I now have a personal Instagram as well. And I realized I don't spend as much time on Instagram in general. And there is a very clear separation for what I do. In fact, my business Instagram at this point, by far and large, like I handle the messages and sales and stuff like that. But a lot of times when it comes to like specifically posting things and stuff like that, I'm still in charge of what content, the copy and stuff like this. But I do have someone now who just like does the actual posts for me.
That's the right thing to do.
Right. So the business Instagram now is for Luso Design, which is now separate entity from, Andrew and I have my like personal Instagram where I, post about going to concerts and riding a bike and whatever stupid shenanigans I get up to. But that actually turned out to be like a very big thing because I used to be on Instagram all the time because it was both work and it was for
you tricked yourself.
And then it was it was a massive distraction, and especially because you tend to escape into it if you're stressed out.
100%,
Like it was like one of those things is like you're stressed out and like you blink and then suddenly for some reason you're on Instagram like 17 reels in and all you did was wanted to check a text message from a supplier or a client and you're like in that stressful situation and you blink and you're like suddenly for some reason you're on Instagram. What the hell is going on?
It's like smoking.
You see, but that's another problem. That's another problem of ADHD. You need to learn something. I will propose. I don't know if you have that or not. You need to learn to delegate. I don't get involved on daily basis with our operation. Zero. Trying not to because that's what's going to end up. I'm trying not to get involved in operations in the office whatsoever. I learned to delegate because in my base, I'm you, to be honest with you, 100%. I'm like all over the place. I'm interested in all the little details. You got to learn to delegate. How many people do you have in your company? Because you said you do your own sales, you do the paperwork, you do everything. Clearly, you're not delegating. So how many people in the office and the company?
I'm slowly growing. I've got so my brother is like in between. He's kind of my
part-time.
partner in a way, or like second in command. I have also an admin who may or may not get replaced by a collection of AI agents in the future.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a tricky subject. You have
Very
to
tricky
have
subject, by the way.
humans,
You have to.
but unfortunately, like we're in a weapons race of things, and this is coming from the background of trying to do everything myself, right? You find every single little thing that can give you an edge. That 1% improvement here, that 1% improvement there. So,
So let me ask you another question, and I'll cut you off there. If you, hypothetically speaking, had somebody to do the orders to the factory, because I know very well how things work in the background with Windows and doors companies. If you didn't need to do all the orders, if you didn't need to talk to all the suppliers, if you could delegate all that, would you not have more time to maybe work more on the sales part, which we are kind of getting into a different world right now, world of AI. I kind of interviewed a couple of companies and still interviewing a couple of crews besides all the marketing that we do to have a full department just to do AI stuff, AI sales, which is getting in like
not using
ChatGPT and all that.
AI for sales though. Just
I know you're not. So what I'm saying is, Andrew is a very important figure in Luso, is because Andrew is the brain of the operation. We're going into a different world where the marketing, the way it works now, soon is not going to work. Everybody's sitting on Google. Google is not going to be there forever. We are going to go more. People right now, they are searching by going to ChatGPT. What's the best door company? If you're not there, you're in trouble.
Yep.
So wouldn't it make sense for Andrew, for an example, to invest a little bit into a couple of, let's say, site managers or liaisons between manufacturer and site and all that to do the paperwork so that you have more time to handle sales and to be ahead of time and not behind?
It's chicken and egg
It is.
Because yes,
Because I'm the one.
because as a business owner, you constantly identify where the bottlenecks are. And if you're the bottleneck, then you have to have more people handling something.
Because you remember how I was telling you that I believe into getting the people and they will get you this income. So
100%.
I find that if I was in your situation, I would need someone to take away from that process so that I could get more sales.
I'm already doing that. The thing is, it's a process because not every person that you are going to hire is going to work. And it takes time to train them.
Educate,
and it takes time to test them and see whether or not they're going to work in the environment. I'm at my third admin because the stuff that we do is highly technical. And it's also a combination of volume being very, very seasonal. That's the reason why for smaller operations like mine, because I'm still relatively small in comparison to bigger guys, again, it's like all a question of where you are on that in that food chain. For me, I'm still have to find a solution that is highly specialized, but also very flexible in terms of time. That's why, like, I have my younger brother in a way doing like personal assistant stuff, but I'm also looking into hiring an actual personal assistant. That's why I have an admin who is doing the paperwork and orders and stuff like that. But also, listen, like, it took me 2 hours to train an AI agent to perform things that it took a month for a physical human person to learn. And it works faster, more reliable, and more cost efficient. And we always will need humans. But in terms of productivity, there are things that are stupid. Like, take a number from a form A, position C, and transfer it into an order form 1, position A. For that, we don't need humans. And up until now, we had to have humans for that. But this is, especially for an ADHD person, that kind of task is the worst torture you can imagine. And so this is, as a business owner, if you get to the point of becoming a business owner and not trying to do everything yourself, that's the first thing you outsource.
Of course.
But we're also in a world where those jobs are going to get replaced by AIs, or going to be replaced by people who are going to be in charge of AIs.
Agreed. But for now, it looks like you are doing that job. And you should have a different Andrew.
No, I'm literally like 3 days. So I'm literally like 3 days into discovering a different new technology, which I'm so excited because so there's like a variety of different AIs. I've had like paid ChatGPT subscription for several years now.
ChatGPT is actually not that great.
But hold on.
It's very good at like language-based stuff. It's not necessarily very good at factual things. I've started experimenting with Claude, and I realized that it's got an autonomous agent component to it, which seems to be really, really good. Which seems to be much better than ChatGPT at performing some of those like stupid generic tasks that humans shouldn't really be even working on. But the cool thing is, where ChatGPT, you have to manually prompt it to do it. With Claude, you can actually teach it, set up processes, set up schedules, and it will by far and large run mostly autonomously. There are a lot of setbacks to it. There are a lot of quirks to that. There are things where it has certain limit of computing power, which as I'm currently running out of that constantly. So I need to either go on a higher tier subscription or create a more efficient way for it to do its job, which this is where it becomes like learning how to interact with all of that stuff. But like today is Wednesday. I've been playing with it for 3 days since Monday. I've done
Cloud Code, Cloud Code.
No, just not code, just the co-work and the general chat.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be much better equipped to handle like data entry and data organization compared to ChatGPT.
Yeah, Cloud is great. Yeah.
But can you go back to those processes? Because you started before he cut you off in the middle. You were starting to talk about ChatGPT and some of the processes that you're doing in your office.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about those, because I love learning information, and if there's something that I can learn, I want to hear that out.
No, I mean, there's just a certain...
You said you just found some kind of process.
Oh, no, that's what it is. So we've got the back end, we've got the admin, where when the door order comes in, there are like 6 different companies that I have to deal with to create one door.
Mm-hmm.
And a variety of information has to be funneled into certain orders, and they have to be done in a timely manner, and there has to be control. There has to be a you fill out a certain form, you send it by email, you check it off the list of what has to be done and stuff like this. So this is like the most boring, stupid admin stuff. But if that part doesn't work, your business doesn't work. And this is oftentimes where you lose a lot of money, because like you have a misprint on a work order for a hardware, you have the wrong handle come in, a handle costs you $600, your profit margin on the door is $850. So you've just literally just wasted all of this time. And you didn't break even because you've put in all of your effort and all of your time into this one project, and you've suddenly not making any money on it. So you've suddenly set yourself back that much. So so I found that my experience of the past 3 days of playing with it, and that's the reason why I'm sleep deprived, is because I stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning. It seems to be handling this stuff fairly well, and it seems to be capable of autonomously handling it, or to a high degree that I should be able to build that into my backend and make it much easier. Because my problem is like a lot of this stuff is not hard, but it's very technical.
Yeah.
And so over the course of a year, by hiring people and training them, I've also realized like I've changed how we document things and because again, when you do everything yourself, you write things down differently, you organize your data differently. As I started expanding and as I started training people, I now have a library of materials that are specifically designed to train certain positions. We started cataloging the step-by-steps of how we do things because I've realized that, oh, this person may not work. How do I make it so that I'm training the next person in the easiest, most efficient manner? But I also realize this, like plugging AI into this whole process can make it easier. It can like make you more productive and more flexible, because I keep coming back to the bottleneck of the volume being so seasonal. Like we're not in Florida, we're not in Mexico where it's like sunny and great the whole year. No, we have to make most of our money within 6 to 8 month period, and the rest of it is like you're just surviving.
You do snow collection,
and hopefully, or you hopefully go away. We still work. It just takes 3 times as much effort to complete a quarter amount of work.
Yeah, because you set up a date for installation. This date comes, you got snow, you can't go out. You set up another day, a week later.
Your volume also drops.
Yeah.
60%.
You know what's interesting?
Or more.
You mentioned the cost of you running into limits was Claude. So actually what's happening with big companies now, a lot of them are running into a situation where, AI is more efficient, but actually the amount of tokens that they have to use from AI is now more expensive than hiring people.
Yes, and this is where now there's a separate skill of being able to communicate with AI in a way that you use it in the most efficient manner.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not so simple. This is like one of the things that I did in my past life before I started construction. I used to do graphic design, and I still draw, and I like kind of started learning how to tattoo a little bit and things of that nature. So there's this whole thing about AI generated imagery and things of that nature. Yeah. So I've got Midjourney as something that I would...
Midjourney is amazing.
that I would play with. But writing prompts for it is a very specific skill. Yeah. So it is very interesting because now... And I think this is maybe where your podcast can be great about educating people that are getting into this now, because even freaking construction industry, it used to be simple. Yeah. You just show up, you give your price, you have your materials, you have your labor, you mark it up 50%. If the neighbor spoke highly of you, you get the job, you do the job, enough to pay your bills, that's it. Now you have to build your business processes. You still have to do the job very well, but you also have to present that job on social media. By the way, there's like 17 different kinds of it. Yeah. And then now we're also kind of in the world of AI where like if you're not using it, you're going to start falling behind. Not today, sure, but 5 to 10 years span, that's what's going to happen. Like, yeah. And God knows what's like the speed with which the changes are happening to technology and to society by the extent are just like staggering. So it's an interesting thing to ponder.
So where do you think AI is going to influence the construction industry?
I think the people who are doing manual labor are not going to be affected by it as much. I think skilled labor is going to keep becoming more valuable and potentially higher paid for, because I do not see machines being able to replace people anytime soon. Like we're looking at home building, and you see all like 3D printed homes and those like pre-paneled homes that are built in a warehouse, and then you transport them to a job site and you put them together, and it turns out everything's out of plumb because the background is not
Well,
perfect
not
and
only,
stuff like
it's
that.
just, it's all so generic that by the time you start customizing everything, it costs you more than just building on site.
Yeah, so
We had a talk about that as well.
So I think this is, I think there are portions of things where human labor would still be very valued and very appreciated, and human effort will become even, even more appreciated. There's also, but I think a lot of anything that can be done on the paper side of things, a lot of that is going to get become vastly different.
Taken over by AI.
Taken over, and I don't know. I think it's like, as someone who still like does a bunch of things myself, I think it's like pretty cool that I can have an assistant that I'm gonna train to help whoever is going to be doing that job. And like whatever that knowledge that I've built into that is not going to get lost. And I'm going to have to retrain the person for a month for them to go and
really
switch to something
investment.
else. I can have this thing that helps them train, and maybe that'll make things easier.
It's going to be tricky.
But how many people are going to be out of job because of that? Where are those people going to go? This is the whole thing of like every time we have like a major technological revolution, you know, if when the cars
going to have to adopt, people are going to have to adopt new generations.
Came about, where all the horses are going to go,
I think another field that is going to blossom with this, and you should relate to this. Construction is going to be protected because manual labor, until Tesla robots, whatever.
Even that's they're way too expensive.
Creative fields are going to have like a golden age. Because creative basically cannot be replaced by AI.
You should talk to my friends from tattoo industry because the issue of there's a creative part of making up the design, but there's also a skill part to knowing how to create it in a way that it is positioned on it
will be a tool
on your anatomy in a certain way, right? So right now we're in a stage where it looks like you can do anything with AI, where in reality it's a lot of garbage.
No, you cannot.
So I don't know. It's right now we're at the point where it heavily devalued a lot of creative effort. But perhaps we will come to a point where more people will realize that it's still not of the same quality as of the person if a professional artist was to create something.
I heard a very good description of this, basically. You guys know who Rick Rubin is?
Yep.
Yeah. So you know who it is? Producer. So he explained why he doesn't believe that AI can get involved in the creative side, basically, is because the whole reason he finds something interesting, like music or art or anything, like anything art related, is because it's a point of view of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
They're expressing their point of view, and you can either relate to it or not. AI does not have a point of view. It just doesn't have it.
Yeah, it's just a way to process information, digest it, and spit it out.
It doesn't have a point of view of anything. So
I think a lot of creative is tied to human emotion, because that's by far and large, maybe, or in my opinion, is like one of the reasons why we have art and what is the purpose of it is it's a way from one person to another to convey a certain emotional state, right? Like I play guitar and whatever, right? And you can play a guitar and you may not speak the same language with a person, but you can convey whether you are sad or happy or angry or whatever, right? Through music.
Yep.
Or through painting or through art. And this is something that I think is like innately, obviously human, because humans feel emotions and computers do not. Now, machines can probably learn a way to replicate it, but I also think that people and humans have a very good way of distinguishing one from another. I think on a subconscious level, we pick up on when things are off. Yeah, and I think, like, if you're watching Instagram Reels, you're starting to pick up when it's AI generated.
Yeah, you can tell.
There's something off.
Something is off.
There's something off about, you don't know what it is. Your subconscious is doing the job, but something is off. And what was that book? Blink. by Gladwell. He basically pointed out that our brain, sort of the subconscious portion of it, is very good at analyzing patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, your subconscious is better at picking up on things than your conscious mind. Like you logically, for example, the one example that he uses, there was a nurse that was at a wedding, and she looked at one of the guests, and she's like, "You have to go to a hospital right now." And they get him to a hospital. It turns out he's in a process of having a heart attack, I think, or a brain aneurysm or something like that. And when they try to ask her, like, how did she know? Because she was adamant, 100%. And she worked in that particular field, in that particular ward, where she's seen a lot of people coming in with that. There was something about his face. She could not explain what it was. So they've put a lot of work into trying to figure it out. The theory, or in pretty much proven one at this point, is when the person is having, I think it's a heart attack, the body will divert the blood to try and it's not even pale. It's kind of like a certain very subtle pattern in the coloring of a person's face that comes from the blood in your body being distributed differently. And she subconsciously picks up on that because she's seen so many of that. Yeah. It's a cool book, Blink. And he's basically going about how our brain can subconsciously pick up on so many little things that we're not even aware of, but it works.
There's even more
like the hunch and whatever, right? Like you have a hunch and stuff like that. So I think AI versus human generated, real or fake, I think we're actually getting, the more we see of that, the better we're getting and picking that up.
Because what's happening in marketing with big companies, because they started picking up on this thing that actually humans are now kind of like being turned off by AI. Now huge companies, when they do their advertising and marketing, very often now on social media, they specifically hire a second person to shoot behind the scenes to purposely show people that this is real. To purposely show this is real, we did not generate it. We shot this on scene, because they're now realizing that people are getting turned off by everything being AI generated. So this is already kind of it's a weird thing.
There's a dude that I watch on YouTube. He does these like informational videos, and he has a couple of minutes of footage of him speaking at the start of the video to show that the voice it's actually human voice, and it's actually human generated content and stuff like that. There are like many YouTube specifically, because it's very saturated with AI slop. There are many channels that are putting like big effort now into showing, we're actually have like real humans behind it.
Actually Google, they did a great thing. They said on YouTube, if you generate with AI your videos, you can do it, but you're not allowed to monetize it. So that's
might be new. Okay. I'm pretty sure there's still a lot of that stuff floating around.
I don't know how they filter it out, but I do know for a fact that if your channel is all AI generated stuff, you can't monetize those videos. Like, they will not pay you ad revenue for that.
I think it's another kind of a weapons race where they're going to be, AI is going to be getting better and better at creating content, and then they're going to be like tools to determine whether or not it's AI generated, and those tools going to have to keep up with like.
But my favorite example on the subconscious thing is actually, and everybody can relate, every human being ever. You know that feeling when you're sitting and you're like, I feel like somebody's looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
You can't explain that. There's no way how you can explain why this happens. But everybody can understand. Everybody felt that, but you can't tell why.
Yeah, there's also that like uncanny valley when you're looking at something. They do this in like horror movies a lot. When something looks like a human, but it's ever so subtly different. Yeah. And you get this like weird, uneasy feeling from that. Like so that's something that like a lot of times when like AI generated humans and videos and stuff like that. It's just like something's wrong. It's like something feels off.
It even translates with, when you watch Jurassic Park, the original one,
Mhm.
the reason it looks so, like, I mean, you can, once you can kind of tell, but when you film a real animatronic
Oh, so it looks
versus
very
generating
animated.
Yeah.
it just looks and feels different.
Yep.
There's just something to it. And that's through the camera, but still you can feel
But
it.
this is part of what your brain, I guess, catches, right?
Yeah,
You
it's a
don't-
supercomputer. Like, it's so far beyond what we have currently. So, yeah.
That's such a detour we took from construction.
Yeah. So, but to close on that question, a lot of people actually, not people, people too. I read an article about where AI is going. And this article pretty much says that because you said it before, like a couple of minutes ago, because people don't trust AI anymore, and because people don't really want to interact with AI. Speaking of all this personal assistance and that kind of stuff, it looks like eventually people gonna want to go back of in-person meetings, human interactions. Like I'm doing all my meetings, initial meetings through Teams. I barely see clients unless we have the reason to see clients anymore. And I do all my consultation on Teams as well. It looks like people are going to come off that. And it's going to go back in your situation. You remember all those appointments that were created, telemarketing and all that kind of stuff. It looks like people are going to go back towards in-person meetings and appointments. They're going to want to see the person who they're dealing with because it's going to be so much AI generated. Even those eyes, by the way, on Zoom, when you got the eyes that are looking and following the
They're
camera.
looking at, they're
all
not.
this kind of crap
It
that
makes
looks
you
creepy,
like you're looking at the
creepy as
camera.
F. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Is it actually going to go there, or you think that it's going to go deeper into AI?
I think it's like the simultaneous branches of evolution happening at once. I don't know which one is going to
Yeah, but evolution eventually going to go one way or the other.
We'll see which one is going to die out. I mean, from like, I would never want to use AI. Like, how do I explain it? I would never want someone or an AI agent to replace me interacting with a client. I would really only want to use it for the back end, for the stupid stuff, for the things where you're just like literally crunching numbers, and humans should not be doing that because our brains are not computers. But I think I would always want to be that person interacting with the other person. I wouldn't want an AI, like it would piss me off when and it's like everywhere now. Any kind of customer support, you go to a website and they try to put you through an AI agent.
Yeah. I hate it. It just pisses me off.
Yeah, it's like, but right, there's that.
But then to be the devil's advocate, imagine you're in 3 meetings at once.
Yes, and the number of people is growing, and the number of and the number of things that you're supposed to do, because we have this infinite push to be more productive. Yet somehow, and this is like another different conversation of how much more productive we've become as humans, like the productivity output versus how much we have to work to make a living and to have decent living standards, because we're kind of slipping now. We've kind of went through from the industrial revolution of people working out of factories for 14 hours and ungodly unsafe conditions and stuff like that, and working themselves to death literally, to the point where like at a certain point you could like do your 8-hour week
9 to
work
5,
of 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and you can afford a house and you can afford a family and stuff like that. And I personally do not know anyone who has this kind of lifestyle nowadays.
Yeah, no.
And it could be because I'm in that bubble of like self-employed people and stuff like that too. In a way, I don't know what.
No, I know employees, but they don't have.
But
yeah.
No,
but majority of people that I know work 6 days a week at the very least, or at least hourly.
But it's not that. I can give you an example. Like for example, in architecture, you used to do set of drawings, let's say 8 months, and you used to get permits in a month. we got into computers. Computers supposed to be faster. Now I do the set of drawings in 2 months and get the permits in 7 months. So now humanity
The standard keeps...
it's not good. So let's get the software better. You get the software better. It becomes worse and worse. Now you got bugs. Now you got every month something else goes out. All of a sudden we're back to making drawings in 8 months for a building, let's say, for a big building. But before we used to work 9 to 5 doing it on paper and everything was nice and dandy versus now architects sit in their offices until 2 o'clock in the morning, working 24/7, doing everything the same amount of time. The bureaucracy in the city grows as well. I don't know if we're evolving. That's what I'm trying to say. We're using technology, but then technology makes kind of enslaved us.
I think I think like output wise, it's like, being on a job site, having better tools makes, and knowing how to use them.
And by the way,
you can work faster, you can produce more. And same goes for the office work.
By the way, not necessarily. You got million tools around you for each job, where before you would have a professional with a hammer and a chisel will do exactly as beautiful of a job because they would be very proficient in what they do. Now you're going to have routers and even to install a door. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a good...
Million tools. Every tool takes like 20, 30 minutes to work with. And
it's a good point. I don't know. Like this is one of those things where it'd be cool to see like maybe like the overall statistics of it.
Are we evolving? That's the question.
No, well, my opinion would be that we are, but we are also, I think, what is expected of us from a productivity perspective keeps growing as well. One of the examples, for example, sorry, I'm getting tired. That lack of sleep is catching up to me. I used to do just quick descriptions of doors. They're very detailed, but they were this different description of doors. At some point, I started incorporating quick CAD-like drawings to give the clients a visual. As of maybe past couple of years, I started. They were to scale, detailed, quite detailed. As of like the past couple of years, I've added colors to them because we're kind of, and now we're at the point where I have clients coming to me asking for real life rendering because now you can generate a rendering with a ChatGPT. Now the problem is that rendering is going to be garbage, because it's going to miss half of the details that are supposed to be there. It's going to get all the proportions right. It's going to have the handle in the wrong spot. It's going to have like a million. It's going to have the million different. Like it's like it can be too low or too high. Like literally, there's a certain standard for it. So the reason why I use CAD drawings is because like I'll position things exactly where they should be, exactly the right sizes. You try to do that with AI. As of right now, it's not really doing it. I'm at the point where I don't want to, but I kind of have to be able, because again, we're in a very competitive environment. So I always try to evolve and I always try to improve on what I'm doing, whether it's the speed or the quality or the depth of what I do.
But is it evolution or destruction? And let me ask you that again. Like, think about it this way. And I know it's your art. I'm not trying to underestimate what you do. A door is a part of my building that I built. Can you imagine if I have to spend all this time with you to look at renderings, to make you work so hard and all that? How much a door is going to cost in the big scheme of things when it comes to a house? And second question that comes with it, if back in the day we used to pay an X amount of money for a door where you have an installer come in with few tools and you have a couple of people in the office, so now maybe you are saving on those couple of people in the office, but now you have to pay more to this installer with bunch of tools around them with help and all that. And the technology, it's almost like it goes, not the technologies, the
process becomes more complex. The process
becomes too,
and that brings
it just goes from here to there, brings additional cost. Where are we actually evolving? And now this is only a door. Now imagine as a builder, I have to do the same for windows. I have to do the same for siding. I have to do the same for...
Your
Where's the
designers
end
now
of it?
have to create lifelike 3D models with a virtual walkthrough
You know what I mean?
and stuff like
and at
that.
the end of the day, doors 30, 40 years ago were not selling less than doors today. So I'm asking, is AI something that confuses humanity, that actually maybe taking us to a different, distracting us from what we're actually supposed to do? Because I believe that all those processes creating a point where we're all being enslaved. You have to work 24/7 for your business to kind of
To keep up.
afford the installer to afford their construction, because they cost you double than what they used to cost before even COVID. And so
Like
we're
I have to
with
pay
it.
my guys a decent amount of
I know,
money
yeah.
because I value them, but I also understand how much it costs now to just
To
like the
put all
cost
the
of
Milwaukee
living.
around them while
Listen, I'm
installing the
not
door.
gonna fault them for that. They have the tools that they need to do the job, but they're quite frugal with what they spend their money on, right? So I think like it's such a good, complex, big topic.
Yeah.
We have the market driven by people wanting nicer things, wanting better service, wanting the drawings, wanting the and it's that competitive environment that is then pushing us as people on the service side of things to be faster, be better than the other guy. No one knows where that ends.
Yeah, because we're like ants. Okay, that's great.
And what I can tell for sure is that process is ever intensifying. I think and that is like whether we are getting better at things or evolving for betterment or not, I don't know, but the fact that the world is moving a lot faster and it is becoming harder and harder and harder to keep up with it, that's a given. And I don't know, we'll see
Like,
what happens.
imagine I'm your client and I'm working hard 24/7, creating processes in my company, doing everything to buy a door from you. And I have to pay more because you have your own processes that you're working on 24/7 in order to create those. And you buy from a manufacturer that creates their processes with AI and all that. But it all costs so much money. And at the end of the day, so much money and time as business owners all together. And then you're asking yourself a question. You would
Is that
probably
even
buy a
worth
door. Yeah. Why am I working so hard on something that is inflated, because we all are inflating it by doing it together?
Yeah, like I mean, this is one of the. It's just like wanting a simpler life, and I think this is a question
bit
that the
philosophical,
business owner, every business owner, is going to be asking themselves at some point. It's like, is that even all worth it? And yeah, I was at a point where I was like, I want to just shut everything down and move to Mexico or something like that, and like to like live in some little village, and I can grow my own food, and I'm not going to even have to deal with any of that bullshit.
For sure.
And by the way, the people that work for you as well, also becoming like AI. Nobody talks to you in long sentences. Nobody tries to understand. Everything is, oh, what do you mean? Oh, like people don't try to think anymore. I personally find. Like I have a situation that I was reviewing some work again by somebody in the office, and they got upset for me reviewing their work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wasn't being tough or whatever. I was just literally reviewing their work, and yeah, they just got upset with it.
Just because
they're not.
Just because you pointed out that they did something.
Because this is not. It's getting to the point that people are not able to confront situations anymore. Hiding behind computers, hiding behind AIs, kids and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have kids, by the way?
Yeah, I got a 13-year-old. It's an interesting thing to see how things are evolving.
I know. Right?
In school, with their personal interactions with technology, kind of being thrown into that.
Like, how do you guys know that this is not like old men yelling at clouds situation?
Yeah, that's a problem.
And there's always.
I don't mean to be like a bummer.
There's always gonna be the generational gap, and there's always gonna be like back in my days, we used to.
No, but that's not even back in my days. We're talking 10 years ago.
Because things
we're evolving
because
so fast.
Things are speeding up.
Yes.
Because we're getting I think the best way to be is to try and find like the information that proves like some kind of metric to go by. I watch Hank Green on YouTube, who's kind of like a sciencey guy, and he brings up a lot of that stuff. And
What's
like
his
the Hank Green,
Okay.
and he's this like all over the place, overly energetic ADHD person who is in myriad topics at once, but he's primarily a scientist guy.
Mm.
And he did brought up, I think, that there was a study that was saying that like in the first time in documented history, the IQ levels, so people's ability to problem solve, is
dropping?
actually starting to drop.
Yes. I see.
Going back to monkeys.
Because there are certain fundamental
evolved the
ways
monkeys.
in which the technology that we're using is changing our brains.
Yeah.
And like we are, it is evolution, because
that's exactly what I'm telling you.
Because
with
we are
computers, right?
getting, because we are adopting to whatever environment we're in.
True.
When I was in school, I was forced to memorize large quantities of data, like the multiplication tables and stuff like that, 4x4 is 16, whatever else, right?
Is it? No, I'm just kidding.
It is, but I had to actually, I stumbled for a second, but we were dependent on holding certain quantities of data about certain things in our brain and being able to do, like I used to be able to do calculus in my head back when I was in university. Now the actual information access is not an issue. You don't have to memorize things. You have a computer with
Absolutely
infinite access to info. So
just
now
the question.
The skill is, now there's too much of the information. The skill is being able to filter through it and being able to absorb it. And so now with the AI and things of that nature, humans are in many ways are unique because they problem solve, because we'll look at all of the things and we'll look at how they work, and we analyze patterns and we recognize how to change things and stuff like that. So now that is actually getting outsourced to technology, which inevitably means that those parts of the brain are less used, and go like 5 generations like this. It's going to have an effect of some kind.
You remember what I'm saying? That's why I kind of avoid AI, actually, personally. I'm worried that it's going to make my brain lazy. Like literally, I'm worried
I agree.
that certain parts of it are going to make me kind of.
It 100% will. In some ways, not in every way.
So,
but it's like, okay, great. But how do we survive without it? Like, is it being forced on? This is a whole different conversation.
Hire people
Isn't
to
being
ruin their brain.
Forced on us? Can you afford to hire people to do that job, right? Like, because then your clients have. So this is a very cool kind of a long winding conversation of who's benefiting from AI being essentially forced into our lives and stuff like that, and what that all of that overproduction and like the intensity of the.
I want to mention one specific aspect of AI that is like, and you're from finance.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to destroy the stock market, and I don't know what's going to happen with that. Because the world basically relies on the stock market.
Do we even have people trading? I think at this point it's all algorithms.
Yeah, it's all algorithms.
That's insane. That means like...
all of this is, I don't even... So this is the part that I never quite gotten into, and I probably should have, is like stock market and things of that nature. I would have probably made more money. But it would have been a lot more boring. But I think like all of that is.
You ever heard of Medallion Fund?
No.
So there's this. It's insane actually. There's this fund. They average, if I'm not mistaken, 37% return over the last 30 years. Okay, it's insane. I'm not making this up. They hire. Their whole approach is basically
like yearly.
Yeah.
Annual return, 37% on investment.
Yeah.
Why people are worse?
This is like drug money.
No, they don't take new investments at this point, because actually they realize that there's a cap of how much money they can manage before things degrade. But the point is, they hire, the way that they build the company, their employees are all mass PhDs and physics PhDs. That's the people they hire.
Mm-hmm.
And based on that, they built a system that is like, they have their own proprietary trading algorithm. But the point is that they still needed like these ultra smart humans to figure that out.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting thing,
Yeah, and at which point does this whole technology evolve that like it's doing, as of right now, it's doing a variety of different work in a passable way, but the quality of passable keeps rising, right? At which point does those systems become so efficient and so good at what they do that they vastly exceed average humans' capabilities, and also how fast the average human capability is going to be dropping if we are outsourcing our thought process to AI. I think it's like a double thing where AI is getting better, but the humans are also getting worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly, if I could, I wouldn't. I wouldn't use any of that. I think it's in many ways is a weapons race that we're forced into, and owning a business for the past 17 years, I don't see a way of slowing down. I don't think so. I've been on a verge of bankruptcy like twice over the past 17 years.
Mhm.
It's not fun. And
Yeah.
and you don't avoid it by making things simpler. Unfortunately, you are you are making money if you are faster, better, and whatever else than other people. It's a nature of free market. And unfortunately, part of it nowadays is that like you'd use every single technological advancement you can, unless you find some weird little niche within you're the only person, and somehow it is so valuable that you can actually make a living off of that.
Yeah.
That
And
could
that's
be
probably, there's going to be more of that probably. Over time, more and more people are going to, basically human-made things are going to be more valuable than ever.
I think
personal interactions.
Yeah.
First time in ever, we have also through social media the ability of one person to show their like weird little skill to so many people that they actually can find.
That's true.
Because I follow a variety of people that do create things like a friend of mine is doing like custom jewelry, right? And I don't know how you would able to survive in that field if you don't have the social media, if you're not able to have that reach.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where suddenly it's like, oh, I would like to buy from that specific person that specific ring because it means that specific thing to me. You broadcasted to 100,000 people, you're gonna have 20 clients out of that.
Yeah.
Right? Now you can do this. Before, I don't even know how you would survive, like trying to do something like this.
Let's not overstate how simple that is in terms of like, now you can do this as in you're going to post a video and then bam, viral.
There is a chance. Don't even. I know social, like I play social media game as a promotional tool for the past year and a half. It is vastly different from just running your Instagram and like showing the stuff that you do know. There's like the algorithms and the return on investment and
that's why
advertising and content creation and everything else.
It just doesn't make sense sometimes, like 0 cents actually. Sometimes you look at it and something that went viral and exploded, you're like,
what the hell just happened?
Like, what happened here?
Also, if it went viral and exploded, it does not necessarily mean like
anything.
If you're running business, it doesn't mean that you're
It doesn't mean anything. Exactly.
The fact that zero return on business. So
you see, the problem is you're getting a lot of niche businesses getting maybe a bigger exposure. Yes, but then a lot of clients getting more and more confused, and then you got more and more scams online, and then you don't know who to trust anymore.
That's true. Yeah.
And which still brings me to think that eventually everything is going to have to go back to...
It's cycles.
Yeah, it's a cycle.
Yeah, humans are humans. My theory on this is actually that think of who builds these tech companies, right? Think of the stereotype of like who built them. It's probably kind of a nerdy guy.
The
Probably.
Elon Musks and Jeff Bezoses of the world.
Exactly. Who and what is that type of
ADHD,
person?
autism.
That type of person is usually not that great with connecting with people.
With communication, yes.
They're good at doing their thing quietly on their own.
All of them are on the spectrum.
Yeah.
That's
And
number
maybe-
one.
and
There is
maybe
all of them are on the spectrum. It's a fact. All of them.
autistic.
All of them. Autistic, ADHD. Most of them are more autistic than ADHD. And I definitely agree with you. They have no social skills whatsoever. And the reason they created all these platforms is because they have, like Zuckerberg, for example, is because he has no
Yeah,
social
it's a great
skills.
example. Yeah.
So for him, the best way is to find each other through internet and all this
So the
platforms.
point is it really hard to imagine that it's hard for them to understand how the human connection is going to be the problem.
So the problem is they're making the people in the world to look at the world through their lens,
Yes.
which does not fit them.
Yeah. Exactly.
And everybody, due to that, became kind of, in their thinking, their mind, autistic and not looking outside because that's how the world is being projected to them through that little lens of that thing.
It's just very crazy. All of
An
this.
interesting train of
Interesting thought, right?
So
But it's-
social media following a certain pattern.
No. I mean,
Because-
neurotypical people are following certain not typical
direction
patterns.
because it was a not
Exactly.
not
Look at Instagram. Look at WhatsApp communication. Look at
I never
geeks are
thought
taking
about
over
it
the
from
world.
that
That's it.
angle. I was always more than anything looking at it from
Geeks
the
are taking
profit
over the
margin,
world. That's it.
From
Yeah,
the
that's
profit
natural.
angle. I was gonna say at this point, I think a lot of it is just moving in the direction of like generating as much power and wealth for them as possible.
But
One way or
but it
another.
doesn't
That's
come.
just part
You
of
need
it,
to
I guess.
understand. Everybody who get power and wealth, at a certain point, has to believe in something. So the thought to create something is not coming for I want to make power and wealth. I think it's more like I believe this is going to help the world, and then it taking life on its own.
Yeah.
Unless you're a sociopath,
Agreed.
Which is also
Which is a
common in
different
those
story.
circles.
which there are some.
Yeah.
Which is-
Um,
but anyways, listen. That's
that was a very interesting
that
conversation.
was an awesome conversation. I know, right? It's a construction podcast.
Construction podcast. Andrew is going to talk about doors. Also, AI, technology.
Well, listen.
I actually know how to do doors. People like I'm good at doing doors. It's just like I have
he
other
also likes
interests
reading
other
books.
than doors, and
He also
I
like reading books
and
and
listening to
talking
books
about
more than
AI.
anything,
That's kind
and
of the whole
talking
point.
about
The
AI
whole
and
point is for people
ADHD.
to see who you are. And we were talking about like social media and whatever, and that's the point. You show who you are, and people ultimately relate to you, and they choose you.
Yes, but also I can prove that we can do a very good door and we can install it very, very well. And you don't have to like me just because I'm that, ADHD likable person who's all over the place with things. I'm actually a skilled trades person as well, just so you know.
So thank you for putting it out there. That's very important.
Make sure you put it in there as a sound bit, as a video bit, because I realized like the detour that into things that have nothing to do with
sometimes-
what I actually do.
You think it's a bad thing?
As a business person, I cannot not think about about the fact that we've spent half of the podcast talking about AI, which has not really much to do with the thing that I actually do professionally. Anyways, I've got like Google reviews and videos on Instagram to prove that we actually know what we're doing in terms of doors, and hopefully that's enough.
Also, the AI conversation started with you using AI for your business. So, I mean,
Yeah, well, it's a hot topic. It's a very it's a very important topic because as a business owner, you're always just like, how am I going to optimize things? How am I going to things better? How am I going to get better and faster and smarter than anyone else on the market? And what's going to give me the edge?
we live in a simulation. Don't worry about it.
I'll tell you what. I'm sure that people will learn that you're good at that you're good at installing and building doors as well. I'm sure that you have a website and everything that will explain that to them. Knowing a little bit about AI, and talking about this kind of conversation is also legit.
This is going to be one of those episodes. Yeah,
It's going to be one of those
we took a
episodes.
detour.
Happens more and more. Yeah.
But listen,
There are other podcasts out there where I talk a lot about technical details of doors, and there are perhaps not as entertaining.
this one's going to be.
I think so. I
gotta-
hope so.
we
For
gotta try
nerds.
I'll tell you what. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for bringing
It's
me
awesome.
in.
It's awesome meeting you, and I'm sure that you are very proficient and very professional in what you do. I'm sure your service is amazing. Meeting you and talking to you for all this time. Where can people find you?
So my phone number is 416-834-9905. That's my direct cell line. This is still the phone number that is everywhere. And if you call that, you're going to get me and not an AI agent. There is also a website, lusodesign.ca, where you can see a variety of things that we do. And it's in a dire need of an update, but it's quite good still. There's also Luso Design Canada on Instagram, which is primarily, really, mainly the only platform that I'm really using. We're also on like Facebook, house.com, Homestars, and stuff like that.
Other stuff. than
But
Delegation.
really, yeah, mostly what happens is we kind of like generate stuff for Instagram, and then it just
Yeah, it's the
filters down
biggest
into
channel.
everywhere else. And you can obviously message me there as well. And I am still the person who gets all the messages. There's still a personal touch and, to direct interactions with the client. And I'm still the one who, that's like the one thing that I would never outsource. And that is still like the one thing that I would like
Talking
to
to
keep
clients.
No
doing
Andrew
too
AI,
is...
no.
No, not in a foreseeable future. I'd like to keep that if I can. Like, as much as I would like to have to be more productive and do my work faster and make more money as a result of that, maybe. There's things that you pick and choose as a business owner that you would like to keep doing yourself. And those are the things that are either too valuable to give to someone else where the cost of a mistake is too high, or those are the things that you enjoy doing very much. So I still have to keep doing like door orders because a mistaken one is going to cost me several $1,000s, and I don't want that. And I'm not figured out how to outsource that. But I very much enjoy human interactions, which is short speak for I like to talk a lot, and that's still, if I can, I would like to keep that in to myself. I had to kind of mostly give up the work on the tools, which I enjoy immensely still. But yeah, that talking to people is still something that I enjoy very, very much. Meeting new people and figuring things out. That's kind of something that I hope that I'll always be doing that.
Awesome. So, quick, interesting question: 3 companies that you think we should call on our podcast.
The funniest thing is you already called one of them because the reason why I found out about you was you've had Sab on your show. I'm gonna go with like the people that I kind of already know from the industry. Tony TC. He's the cabinetry and carpentry guy. Extremely good.
Speaking to them.
Oh,
Yes.
so sorry.
Yeah, I could barely hear you.
TC. He's cabinetry and carpentry.
Okay.
I don't know, kind of like potentially an interesting guest that is very energetic. Fernando Manpower Demolitions. He's like a very entertaining person and a fun person to interact with whether or not he'll find time because he's always all over the place.
ADHD.
Who else?
Somebody was like 1 million followers, preferably.
Yeah, I think the people. Shoot.
You don't know Mr. Beast or anything?
No. Sorry, I'm like my brain is misfiring because, to be very honest, I'm like completely. I'm so burnt out at this point.
You can do one more.
Yeah, no, I can. Who did I talk to? I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna use a cheat. I'm gonna cheat here for a second because I know the person. It's gonna be Jason. I have a very hard time now remembering his company name. Sorry, give me one second.
Interesting.
Jeez.
Yeah.
No, he's...
I know one Jason, but he's a real.
That's what happens when I'm off my business Instagram for such a long time.
I mean, that's good, right?
Oh shoot, you know what? I'm gonna get you Jason's info, but bring in Lavi from Kingdom Group. He is gonna be a great person to talk to. He is a close friend. I don't know why I've not thought about him, but as I said, I'm kind of burnt out, I think, from talking so much. Lavi, Kingdom Group. Bring him in. Yeah, he's going to be a good guest. I think that's it. I don't know. You may need to cut this together in a more coherent way.
I'll tell you what.
I've got lost in the sauce there for a second.
I'll tell you what. That was a very entertaining conversation and went to completely different galaxies when it comes to conversations. But listen, thank you for being with us. It was awesome. And hopefully we'll have you again in the future.
Whenever.
It's awesome talking to you, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
And the amount of conversation we had, it's just amazing.
I think we're good for like another 2 or 3 episodes at least, seeing how you like to talk, seeing how I like to talk.
You know, he was on Manny's podcast in the very beginning, like first year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How many years ago was it? Like 10?
I don't know. Yes.
He's doing this for
very long time ago. This was back when, we were in like the Skylex roofing shop.
Ah, I see.
This was a very long time ago. That's back when like Carlito was on board full time and everything. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, man. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me here. I hopefully did not ramble on too much.
No, it was actually awesome. Guys, thank you very much for watching this episode. That was Andrew. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, back to work.
Back to work.